plants on planet Earth, and we opened the cleanest, greenest recycled paper mill the world has ever seen. We are proud to cast 56 votes for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Louisiana, how do you cast your votes?
Greetings from Louisiana. Mr. Secretary, my name is Wendell Pierce, and I'm a proud son of Louisiana. And Louisiana is about family, and I'm surrounded by my family of the delegates of Louisiana. And our great Congressman, Troy Carter.
Louisiana casts its votes in support of our democracy, and we stand in line for a more perfect union.
And born out of that democracy from the Big Easy, the northernmost Caribbean city, the last Bohemia was jazz. And nothing can be more emblematic of jazz and democracy than what we swing with in the Big Easy. And it's because of that that I am here to cast my personal vote for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. And now, the leader of our party, Mr. Randall Gaines.
The great state of Louisiana, a state that embodies the principles and spirit of hope and resilience, and so does Kamala Harris. The great state of Louisiana cast its one vote present, and our 47 votes for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're halfway there. Are you ready? Here we go, here we go. Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Next up is Maine. Maine, how do you cast your vote?
Mr. Chair, great state of Maine, home of environmental climate activists and champions like Edmund S. Muskie and George Mitchell. Happy birthday today, George. The state where the sun rises first on the nation over our bold and rocky coast, bringing with it today a new day for the brave and open-hearted people of this country. We have improved lives, restored rights, and preserved our environment in Maine for future generations. Maine leads, and as Maine goes, so will go the nation.
Maine proudly cast 30 votes for our next president, Kamala Harris.
Maryland, how do you cast your vote?
We are Maryland! And we represent Marylanders past and present who have contributed to America's greatness. We are the birthplace of Harriet Tubman. We are the birthplace of Thurgood Marshall. We are the birthplace of Frederick Douglass. We are the place where soldiers defended our freedoms in Baltimore and also in Antietam, and the home of thousands of veterans who call Maryland home. And this community of patriots is proud to cast our votes for the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris!
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. How do you cast your vote?
Mr. Secretary, the people of Massachusetts know something about making history. The first Thanksgiving in Plymouth, the first public school, the first public library where we don't ban books. Health care for all, and the first shots fired in our revolution. And we are proud, as the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to make history once again. Mr. Secretary, Massachusetts counts 116 votes, all of our votes, for Kamala D. Harris for the office of President of the United States.
Michigan, how do you cast your vote?
Good evening from the Great Lakes State. I'm Michigan Democratic Party Chair LaVora Barnes. Michigan has an incredible story. We put the world on wheels and we built the middle class.
And I'm Senator Debbie Stabenow. We are getting things done in Michigan in 2022. We flipped our state House of Representatives for the first time in 40 years. We're getting it done in Michigan.
And I'm Governor Gretchen Whitmer. We cut taxes. We protected freedoms. We brought manufacturing home, and we know how to win. This November, Oregon together. Michigan passed three president
25 votes for
our next president, Kamala Harris.
Minnesota, how do you cast your vote?
Mr. Secretary, the great state of Minnesota, home of Vice President Hubert Humphrey, Vice President Walter Mondale, and the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz. We pass.
Minnesota passes. Mississippi, how do you cast your votes?
Mr. Secretary, I'm State Chair Shaq Taylor from the home of magnolias and microbirds, from the great state of Mississippi, from the Red Clay Hills to the Mississippi River. To our Gulf Coast, we're proud of our heroes such as Fannie Lou Hamer and our special guest, Mr. January 6th, the Honorable Benny T. Thompson. With great joy, Mississippi delivers 40 votes for our future president, Miss Kamala Harris.
Now tonight is a celebration of love, a celebration of life. So let the celebration continue.
Missouri, how do you cast your vote?
Mr. Secretary, I'm Russ Carnahan, Chairman of Missouri Democrats. We're home to Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. We are home to common sense leaders like President Truman, Senators Eagleton, Carnahan, McCaskill, and we will fire Josh Hawley and hire Marine veteran Lucas Coons. Our voters will reclaim reproductive freedom. Kamala Harris has sent a lightning bolt of energy and hope across this country, and we proudly cast 2 votes present and 68 votes for Kamala Harris and our Midwestern friend, Tim Walz.
Montana. How do you cast your vote?
We, the delegates of the proud state of Montana, on behalf of Big Sky Country, the last best place in these United States, I'm grateful for the beauty of our land and determined to protect it for future generations.
We who sent the first woman to Congress proudly cast our 24 delegate votes to send the first woman to the White House, Kamala
Nebraska. How do you cast your vote?
Nebraska, home of 4 tribal nations today, and icons Malcolm X, Standing Bear, and Willa Cather, and our homegrown homeboy, Tim Walz.
And the quality of life capital of the country, Lincoln, capital of Husker Nation, where the Biden-Harris team and unions are rebuilding the heartland.
In Omaha, now affectionately known as Kamaha, but we will protect the blue dot.
We are ready for it! Nebraska proudly casts our 34 votes for Kamala Harris and Coach Tim Walz!
Nebraska just cast its vote, as you undoubtedly heard. And Nebraska, as they said Nebraska, they actually just said the home of Malcolm X. So that's we appreciate that, and that acknowledge that's great. You all, as you can see, seated to my left, folks filming. I've been here all day. They've been filming me. But when the black man shows up, I know. That's what I'm saying. You've been filming me. But when the black man comes, they start filming folk. I don't understand. I don't see the difference. He has dreadlocks. I have dreadlocks.
Without the glasses,
right. He has a beard. I have a beard. I don't understand what this is. How you know I can't sing? You ain't never heard me sing. You don't know nothing about what I can do. Hey, brother, how you, man?
Bless.
You look good, man.
Thank you, brother.
I like that color on you. Looks great, man.
Thank you.
I need to do something brown like that.
Yeah.
Dr. Benjamin Chavis is down there.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Bobby Henry is down there.
Right.
The great Raheem Devon, man. So how you feeling about all this that's happening, man?
This is my first DNC. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. I feel my ancestors, the greats such as James Brown and Harry Belafonte and Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to making socially conscious music.
Right.
And having a reputation for doing that. My entire career.
A little bit of reputation.
Not just wowing the ladies on stage and
Well, they need to know that because they all tripping out. They need to get with the content. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this. I feel the alignment. Happening.
Yeah.
I'm feeling creative. I'm looking forward to getting in the studio and you know what I mean. Like it's definitely been a vibe.
Yeah. No, it's a great thing. And you did the Fair Wage event?
I did a Fair Wage event last night, which of course is for a great cause. $2 an hour is insane. That's modern day slavery. You know what I mean? Their goal, their agenda is to do 25 states by the year 2025. Where they're able to have those wages bumped up. $16 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever. Come with me.
Yeah. What does this campaign? This process mean to you?
It means everything to me. Being on the sidelines and at a different stage in my career. When Obama ran for office and became president. I feel I'm in sync directly in terms of the magical times that we're in right now. Mm-hmm. And to be able to see history repeat itself, but also history to be made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always been an advocator and you know, talked about women, not just our beautiful black women, you know, but women just in general in terms of showing them in a different light musically, you know, in the lyrics and all. So I feel like, you know, it's just a magical time, man, and I want to definitely do my part, you know, as an artist and as a man.
And you definitely honor women in everything you do.
Thank you.
What would you say to some of our young brothers? Because there's all this bio on social media.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid, brother,
yeah,
as positive as social media is in some way,
yeah,
in years we're gonna look back and say there was a lot of foolishness going on.
Yeah.
And so you got brothers say, I'll support this black woman. So what do you say to brothers? See, y'all need to take enough. These women love him. You want women to love you, do what he does. This ain't complicated. You need to do what he's here supporting the black woman. So what would you say to some of these brothers to kind of get them to cut that out?
Well, I mean, you know, we got to dispel the negative. We got to dispel the narrative. You know, you can change the narrative. You know, and you know, don't be a victim to the algorithm.
You think? I like that. Victim to the algorithm.
Don't be a slave to the algorithm. Don't let the world is still a beautiful place. You know what I mean? I'm always advocate. I'm still advocate and say like I always do. You know, in my opinion, I feel like the black woman is God. I feel like black women and women in period are the most disrespected on the planet. You know what I mean? So, so again, you know, as an artist, you know, I've always made a conscious decision in my music, and I will continue to do that, to fight for, to advocate for, and to uplift our beautiful sisters and just women, period, in general, and also, you know, try my best to lead by example as to what I feel like the gift is for as it relates to like artistry.
Yeah.
You know.
So now, I think you just said something. He said, "Don't be a slave to the algorithm."
Yeah.
That's Grace Jones.
Yeah.
So maybe, brother, you know I wrote the ceasefire song.
Oh wow! No,
so you're not messing around. Our sister Ayana Gregory.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to renew in this modern time Grace's piece, "Slave to the Algorithm," and get to these folks here. I think you just said something, Doc.
Yeah.
Well, this brother is not only a cultural genius. It's just something so authentic, and people resonate what they hear and see, but what they feel. You make people
feel something, and that's what, you know. It's like, you know, it's similar to you know, Miles or Coltrane. You know, the note didn't always have to be perfect to create the feeling. You know what I mean? And I think ever since, you know, you know, we gotta give it up for President Biden too. You know what I mean? And like, you know, this wouldn't be possible without him and his administration, right? And he made the decision. You know, he made a critical decision. You know what I'm saying? Which is a tipping point. You know, for America. You know, and so it just makes it that much more surreal. Who by the way is a man. You know, you know what I mean? So yeah, man. I mean, again, just great to be in great company, to feel the energy, be here with my OGs collectively. You know, learn. You know, but also be a tool and be a vessel for this moment.
No, and you are, brother, and we appreciate you for that. Because this is an historic moment. What else you got going on? You got any other projects you're working on right now?
Oh man, a plethora of music. You know, I drop anywhere from 1 to 4 projects a year now. You know, over a 12-month span. Just yesterday, I put out a CD pack. I said a single pack, an exclusive single pack for anybody that wants to join my exclusive catalog club. Musically speaking, I encourage you to download the Even app at Android. If you're an Android user, iPhone user, the Even app, even.biz is where you can get all your exclusive Raheem Devon music. And then, of course, you know, you can stream me on the DSPs as well. You know, for us musicians, the fairways conversations are about streaming. You know what I mean? You know, as artists, we get 0.03% for every stream. We get a fraction of a penny for every time somebody plays our music. So, you know, this is something that I'll continue to, you know, advocate for and lobby, you know, down at Congress as well. And you know, but in the meantime, you know, while we're still getting that 0.3% 100%. If you want to support me and when I release music, you know, take it to $1, $1.25, $2. Log on to even.biz and create an account and get all your Raheem Devon music there.
Yeah. I had him on the Chambers Squad. And I just heard from PBS, it's the highest rated program in PBS.
Oh, wow. The interview we did? Wow. Oh, yeah, please.
The brother just really outpoured his heart, man, and the audience is fun.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you.
Yeah, right on.
No, that's very, very important. And what our brother's doing is it's important work. We need to hear it. We need to support this brother.
Thank you.
His conscious, his woke. He's here. Now, you doing a tour at all?
Yeah, I'm on tour right now. You know, we're dipping into the fall leg of the tour, the Let's Fall in Love tour. Shout out to the Ozzy brothers. You know, I had a top 10 record since we started in January. It's doing great and recurrent right now. I have the #1 record on Heart and Soul Sirius XM.
What's the name of the tour?
So the Fall in Love tour. You know that old Ozzy brother. Girl, let's fall in love. Think it over, girl. Come a little closer, girl.
We get ready to break the internet.
Yeah. So we on tour right now. You know, the DNC is we happen to be one of our stops, and yeah, we on the move right now. For everybody in the DC area, you know, I'll be performing at the Birchmere on August 30th and the 31st. And for more information on where I'll be, you know, around the country, you know, for the rest of the year, you can log on to the Instagram. You know, tour flyers up. Raheem_Devon.
All right, my brother. We appreciate you.
Yes,
Let me get them digits from you, man.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you what I'm gonna do. We gonna get. I'm gonna call you now. We gonna be slave to the algorithm.
Yes, sir.
We gonna need to get that out yesterday.
Yes, sir.
So y'all can get it together.
Yeah.
We're gonna put me and you gonna do that. I'm gonna get Sister
yes.
Tanyana to work with us.
That sounds good.
Love you, brother, man.
Yes, sir. Love you too.
And proud of everything you're doing, man.
Thank you so much.
You're doing the way it needs to be done.
Thank you.
We were with John Legend earlier.
Yes, sir.
And the Governor Westmore said, you know, a lot of these artists don't feel compelled to do the type of things y'all do. And the culture says you don't have to. The culture of entertainment.
Yeah.
But you're not just an entertainer. You're an artist, brother. You're a brother who's doing it for our people.
Well, what it's simply called, we call it edutainment.
Yes.
That's what I'm here to do. I'm part of
edutainment.
I'm part of the edutainment industry.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
That's right. Bless you, brother.
Bless up.
All right, we'll see you, man.
Yep,
you gonna be here through the rest of the convention? You gonna hang?
I got a call earlier where Usher wants me to come. He's performing in DC tomorrow.
Okay.
So I was scheduled to leave Thursday morning anyway.
Okay.
Because I'm on a tour right now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to leave tomorrow morning. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. So you gonna be performing with Usher? You gonna do this something together?
Yeah. As a surprise.
Oh,
tomorrow, yeah.
You want me to come and join you and perform with you and Usher?
Hey man,
I'll hit you.
I'll talk to his team and we'll work it with your team and we'll get you there, you know. Put you on the PJ and get you back.
Don't listen to women, man. I can sing. I can do some stuff. So we'll talk, brother. We're gonna get it together. All right, man. Bless you, brother. Raheem Devon, thank you, brother, for being here with us. Folks, we are here.
Thank you.
We are here at the DNC. Broadcasting live. The roll call is taking place. We're gonna get our brother to come step in over here. Come on, man. Have a sit down so we can get you in here. The Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights is in the house too. Brother Damon Hewitt is here with us as a Lawyers Committee is here doing the work. What's up, my brother? How you feel, man?
Good, man. Told Brother Ben, it's good to see you. Good to be seen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So how you feeling about this convention, man?
Man, look, I've never been to a DNC before.
Really?
Never been before. And you know that, we're the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. We're a 501c3 nonpartisan organization. So I'm here in my personal capacity, but also on the professional side, we have to hold everybody accountable. You know that more than anybody. You know that more than anybody, right? And so I'm here to listen and hear and understand, but also we want to make sure that whoever these candidates are, whoever wins this election, that they actually listen to our communities. That they listen, not just hear us as voices in the crowd, but hear us for the clarity based upon the experience of generations and decades of advocacy. I consider myself part of that unbroken line of advocacy over decades. in the years I've known you two gentlemen, all that I've soaked up and all that I want to pass on to the next generation. We want to make sure they hear us clearly. And that's why we're out here, man. But I tell you what, the excitement that we see from voters in our communities, you know, it's something that I will say a lot of people did not expect, did not anticipate, but we're glad it's there. We want to leverage that and harness that so that people's voices can be heard and their votes can be cast and counted once they're cast and stay counted.
Yeah, you know, it's a number of our 501c3 colleagues here, and folk were calling me like, you know, we've never done that because you're really not supposed to do it. And like, what we do? I said, like you said, you just come in your personal capacity. But this is your story. We can't miss this.
We can't miss this, man. Like every lawyer's got a lawyer, so we talk to the lawyers. But what I would say is, what I've experienced since I've been here is just incredible energy, incredible excitement. And what I'm seeing is the diversity of the people, but it's not diversity on paper. It's meaningful interaction between and among people. It's black voices not only being heard, but sought after. Right? Exactly how they should be. And so I love it, man.
What you can say in your personal capacity, though, is what a Trump presidency would do to civil rights.
Well, I can just look at Project 2025, and I can talk about the prior Trump presidency. What I can say is, right now, the Lawyers Committee is suing Trump for what he did just before he left office. We're suing him, his prior campaign, not this one, the 2016 campaign, 2020 campaign rather, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, and about 24 of his closest alleged co-conspirators, because they violated our civil rights on January 6th. You see, the big lie wasn't just about, he thinks he won, he thinks election was stolen. It was about him and Giuliani and others going around saying it was in Milwaukee, it was Atlanta, it was Detroit, it was Philadelphia, cities with a large black and brown populations. And so when on the front, exactly. So, you know, we do a lot of police accountability, as you know, but our clients in that case are actually Capitol Police officers. Most of them are black men who stood on the front lines defending life, liberty, property, but also democracy itself.
That's right.
That's what they've told me. They say we were defending democracy itself. And that's not what they were thinking in the moment, but they realized the magnitude of it as they're being hit with clubs, as they're being pepper sprayed, as they're being called all kinds of anything but a child of God, virtual epithets.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's all about accountability. It's all about accountability. That's why we proceed with this lawsuit. And we're still in district court in D.C. We're continuing with discovery. Ironically, discovery on his immunity claims and Trump's immunity claims in September 11th. You cannot make that up.
So now, let me ask you this. Because you all do voter protection too.
Oh, yes.
If some funny business, which you expect is going to go down, in November goes down, are you prepared? You already got your stuff ready to go? Because you know what he's going to try to do.
Without question. There's a nationwide network. There's also an election protection threat response initiative. After the 2020 election, there were people who used the state court systems to try to overturn election results. We partnered with the NAACP and represented them in 15 cases all throughout the country, intervening in these actions, because we can't just let it go down with state attorneys general, state attorneys general and state secretaries of state. Some of them are great, some of them are not, against the campaign. We need the people whose votes and voices are at risk to be able to stand up too. That's why we represent NAACP on behalf of black voters. So if we have to do that again, we will. But look, the funny business, Brother Mark, is not just election day or early voting. It's right now. In the 2020 cycle, before early voting stopped, we got wind of a series of robocalls. In fact, it was a tip to the election protection hotline, 866-VOTE. Robocalls going out to black voters, 85,000 of them we learned, saying, did you know that if you vote by mail, the information will be used against you to collect debts, to arrest you by the police, to force mandatory vaccines? We work with Sister Melanie Campbell, the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. We got a preliminary injunction in federal court and stop them in their tracks before election day. We may have to do something like that again. We have to be vigilant before the mayhem happens, before it happens.
Yeah,
so we're doing a lot of work in Georgia.
Yeah, man.
You know, they recently passed a law that when you're standing out in the sun in long lines, if anybody gives a potential voter a bottle of water, they're going to arrest them. So I hope y'all be in Georgia because I'm going to jail on election day.
Well, look, we don't want you to.
He gonna need a lawyer.
We don't want you to. But here's the good news, and we have to make sure we work together to get the word out. You can get water in line because we and others sued, and we got a preliminary injunction there as well. If you're outside the electioneering zone, and forgive me, I forget how many feet. A lot of places 150 feet, right? We'll get that right. Make sure your viewers know it. But if you're outside that zone, you can get all the water you want. You can give all the water you want, right? So we have an injunction against that. It's not a permanent victory, but bring the water back. Nah, we don't have that in Florida at this point. We're still working on Florida.
In Florida.
Florida's a work in progress.
All right, brothers, meet this lovely young lady to my right. Well, you all know her anyway. Brittany Packnett Cunningham. Bless you, my dear. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm always glad to be in the presence of greatness and having conversations with you.
How you feeling about this convention?
I'm feeling like the electricity that we're sensing is real and genuine. I'm feeling like people really wanted something to hope in. And I think that this convention is reminding people that we save us, that we should be hoping in ourselves. Because look at what we can make happen.
Wow.
So you and I have been kind of thinking through some of the tensions between two communities, ours and the Palestinians, and there's a lot of foolishness online. What are your thoughts today about that, and what can we do to prevent really a real schism? And at the same time, as much as we want this administration to adhere to our demands and their demands, we still have to support our sister, don't we?
So listen, it all begins and ends with liberation. None of us are free until all of us are free. Our dear sister Fannie Lou Hamer said that, and when I think about her history at this convention, sitting with the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, demanding to be seated, not having that demand be met some 60 years ago, we are once again in a position where we have to ask ourselves, are we going to meet the moment or not? When Fannie Lou Hamer made her famous speech and said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, we did not meet the moment. Now is a chance for us to meet the moment. Now is a chance for us to understand that the ability of domestic and global communities to collaboratively set all of ourselves free is something that we are uniquely endowed with, right? That is why Black and Palestinian solidarity has been such a core tenet of our collective organizing work for decades, right? Long before October 7th, long before many people were thinking about it, reading about it, learning about it, understanding the experience and the scholarship. And equally so, we know that Black liberation sits at the center of all liberation. The anti-Blackness is global, and that if you solve that, it's a whole lot of people getting free because of it. And so I think that we have to recognize foolishness as what it is. We know what COINTELPRO is. We know what PSYOPs are. We know when foreign actors are using the internet to try to feed us ideas, to divide us from each other. We have to know it, we have to see it, and we have to refuse to be taken out by it. And I think that the kinds of conversations that are happening genuinely with earnestness, where people are really trying to learn about one another and respect the trauma that people are enduring here and there, both at the same time, can make us stronger. Ultimately, this campaign, I think, is right to recognize, especially as Vice President Harris has really changed a lot in her rhetoric, in her statements from what President Biden had said about Israel and Gaza. And I think that the moment is clear that she wants to rise to the moment. It's our job to continue to push her to do there, because that's also how democracy works. And it's also our job to give her the cover so that as a Black woman, right, in a conversation where traditionally Black people domestically are incredibly punished for even saying the word Palestine, we have to give her the cover to be able to do what we want her to do. So that means we got to get her elected. We have to continue the pressure, and we also have to make sure that people coming after her does not happen on our watch.
No, you're absolutely right about that. And also, we know we're being targeted within our own communities with a whole lot of mischief, and young Black women are being targeted. Young Black men are being targeted. What would you say to them, Brittany, not to be affected by that? But we have to support this.
Listen, of anybody I know, Black folks refuse to get took. Okay, we're not gonna let y'all know I'm right.
Yes.
We're not gonna let anybody get one over on us. That's the exact same attitude we have to have about our own freedom. That if somebody is telling me something and they're saying it's in my interest, I have a duty to myself and to my people to ask more questions, to understand who's paying you, to understand why you're writing what you're writing, where your perspective came from, right? Why are you so interested in influencing my vote instead of recognizing that I have the intelligence and experience to direct my vote the way I want it to go? There are a whole lot of people interested in controlling the black vote because they know just how game-changing it is, right? Especially in the battleground states, these swing states. We're talking about 8 million voters, right? That if even half of those black voters who are not registered or who are lapsed show up in November, that they can change the outcome of the election, because in many of these states it was less than 2 million people who were actually deciding the result. So we have a responsibility and a duty to ourselves to make sure we don't get to it and that our people don't get to it, because there are a lot of people who would like to be able to press the button and tell us what to do, and we have to refuse every time.
Absolutely. You got a hotline too for election protection.
That's right.
Tell everybody what it is.
866 our vote. OUR vote. Don't think about the numbers, just 866 our vote. That's the hotline. You can also go online, 866ourvote.org. One more thing, Mark, and Brittany inspired me to mention this. We have a new component this year. So we recruit a lot of lawyers. There's 14,000 lawyers who volunteered in 2020 in that cycle. We'll do big numbers this year too. But you don't have to be a lawyer to volunteer for election protection. You can also volunteer in your own community, at polling sites in your own community. We have a new program called Oho Ashe. Oho as in C and Ashe, you know what that means, right? So it is essentially a way to honor black women who are already answering the call, and get other black women a way to plug in. And look, I'm grateful our team conceived, this black woman on our team conceived of this initiative before this candidate was the candidate. So it's not about her, it's about us.
I like that.
It's about us and what we're going to do.
That's right.
Brittany Packnett, Cunningham, Damon Hewitt. We're all here at the Democratic National Convention. So good to have you both here. Good to see you. Keep up all the good work that we're doing. We're going to see each other on the front lines.
Thank you.
Folks, we're going to go back to the floor. Jamie Harrison is joining us shortly.
Thank you for your work. We stand on your shoulders. Truly.
Likewise.
Dr. Chavis was here, y'all, in 1968 at the first convention.
You've been to
OG.
Hello.
OG.
Hello. All right. All right. Folks, we're going to go back to the floor. We're going to go back to the floor, check out everything that's happening there. The roll call is taking place, and then we'll be back.
For the first woman to serve as the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Utah, how do you cast your vote?
Utah, home of 8 tribal nations, the crossroads of the West, the Beehive State, the host of the 2034 Winter Olympics, the youngest and fastest growing state in the nation, and the next battleground state. Mr. Secretary, we proudly cast 34 votes for Vice President Kamala Harris!
Vermont, how do you cast your vote?
Vermont knows the value of public education. We even have a teacher as our congresswoman. And in 1777, we were the first state to place public education in our Constitution. As someone with significant learning disabilities, I know the value of investing in every single child. We are proud to call Vermont home, and we are proud to cast our 24 votes for Kamala Harris because we are not going back.
the U.S. Virgin Islands. How do you cast your vote?
Mr. Secretary, we are proud to call the Virgin Islands of the United States our home, a place of resistance and freedom, home of Alexander Hamilton, the first slave rebellion in the Western Hemisphere, the Firebird Queens. We are proud to celebrate a nominee of Caribbean heritage.
From America's Caribbean, the place where the sun rises first in America, from the place of great liberty and the vacation home of President Joe Biden, the Virgin Islanders are strong, resilient, and committed and passionate to vote for the next President of the United States. All 13 votes to Kamala Harris!
The Commonwealth of Virginia. How do you cast your votes?
Mr. Secretary, the Commonwealth of Virginia is proudly represented by Senator Mark Warner and Senator Tim Kaine, majorities in the House of Representatives, with 6 hardworking Congress members and majorities in the General Assembly. We also are proud to be represented by 25,000 hardworking, mostly union workers who build freedom by building aircraft carriers and submarines. Senator Warner.
Virginia, for this year, we're going to return Tim Kaine to the United States Senate. Our Commonwealth of Virginia is proud.
Folks, the roll call is going on. We're going to come back here live here in the United Center with our dear sister, Joteka Edie, who convened and has always convened that win with black women call, which has been on, how long has that been going on?
4 years.
4 years. I remember when it first started. So some of y'all thought that just started that Sunday night. No, Lord, it's been going on. That's why y'all was ready. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
How's it feel? You all still, it's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
And
we had 8,000 people on last Sunday. Yes.
And anybody can join.
Anybody can join. We know our good brothers. Now, we have had
any of the women can join.
Our brothers been joining as well. So now everybody is
because I crashed.
Everybody is welcome.
I've crashed it more than once.
Yeah. That night on the 21st, the brothers, when I started doing the shout outs, the brothers started saying, shout me out.
That's right. They sure did.
You know, Big Crump and you was on there.
That's right.
It was a beautiful night of just unity. It was just so beautiful to be unified around Vice President Kamala Harris. Very forceful. And if anybody thought that they were going to try to jump over her, move around her, they saw a blockade of black women, 44,000 strong on Zoom, and another 50,000 that were in other places. There were 30,000 in Clubhouse. There was another 10,000 on one conference call line. So there was just a massive show of joy, but also seriousness in terms of we are ready to do this work and raise this money to make sure that this candidate has what she needs to get over the line.
Now, I heard the CEO of Zoom got in the middle of it, so y'all could open that Zoom up and everybody can get on. Is that true?
In the middle of the call. So imagine if we had the capacity, when we got on the call, our Zoom capacity was 1,000.
Right.
And then we switched over to a meeting webinar, which had a 3,000 person capacity. And then we realized that there were all these people trying to get on. Somebody gave out my phone number, and they thought that was the way to get on. I had 600 missed phone calls that night.
Oh, Lord.
I had like a whole operation. I had my mom and dad standing there just hitting the little red button. But black women, though, figured out a way. So somebody opened up a Clubhouse room. 30,000 people were there. It was on YouTube, Twitch, and people would just gather. people were just gathered around their phones, just listening in joy. We were celebrating. We were getting our marching orders. And then, you know, you had a Dr. Johnetta Vesh Cole. You had a Donna Brazil. You had a Bishop Leah Daughtry. And so you just had all of that history and all of that power on a call. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. And I think the interesting part, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty did an interview on MSNBC because she knew she was getting on the Sunday call. That call was already scheduled. All we had to do was shift the agenda. And she got on the call and she did MSNBC and she said, I'm getting on the Black women's call this Sunday, and there's going to be, she said, there's going to be 18,000 Black women. And then the reporter said 18,000. She said 30,000 Black women. And I remember her chief of staff called and said, oh, the boss said on MSNBC there's going to be 18,000 Black women. I say, okay, Todd, whatever. I said, it's just 1,000 people on the Zoom. But I tell Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, I said, you know what? Let's get rid of Babe Ruth because you the one that points into the you the one that points in the air now because she called it and it was something in her spirit to say, and I say this lovingly. I said it was Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee who was up in heaven just working for us. And so it was just a magical night, and it wouldn't have been possible without a multitude of things going right, starting with that beautiful announcement by President Biden.
That was. Are there benchmarks going forward that you're seeking to meet through the organizing on the call?
Absolutely. Number one, we've been organizing all of the other groups that have been inspired by us. So there have been over 100. We're tracking them. We're in conversations. We're meeting weekly because the narrative is that we're divided, right? And no, we're not. We're more united than we've ever been. As Black women, we came out the gate. We created a table. Now everybody is at that table. And we want people at that table. And so we are planning to gather in unity, something very special that we're planning. But also, we have to mobilize all of those women that have started coming to these calls. So we are going to be calling voters, doing GOTV events, in-person events, because we know that we have to do the work. And that work, as you all know, and you know I come out of the NAACP, that work is in the field. That work is at the doors. That work is in the community. And so we're going to be knocking on doors, calling voters, and going to where the people are, because that's how we win. Now, we can meet on Zoom, but we're not going to win on Zoom.
You got to have a ground campaign.
Exactly.
That's right. That's
right. It needs to be a progression for Black women. You give birth, then you help it to grow. You're doing what Black women do.
Yes, and that's how we've been taught, and we're doing it in partnership with our brothers, and I think that's what's important too. And I say that in every interview I do. There's a lot of press about the Black women. We set it off. Yes, we did. But our brothers were right there. Our brothers were right there on the very next day. And I don't believe it had not been for just that so quickly right behind our call that we would be where we are today.
So now, you said and obviously you inspired all the other calls. So you were also inspired, and you're talking to the white women for Harry. Now, I got on that to see what was happening. I ain't never heard white women talk to each other like that. They was calling each other to task. I was like, whoa. And I said, y'all need to turn this on. I don't think there's ever been a conversation like that where they were saying and calling one another out about how they didn't do their job in 2016. They literally, and how, and the young lady who's in the Michigan legislature, I can think of her name right now. She said everybody else has been holding it down, waiting on us as white women to show up, do what we need to do. I was like, oh my God, these conversations have never happened before. And you all inspired that.
It was beautiful. And Shannon Watts and I can't wait to hug her. We've been texting since we've been here. When she first put the tweet out, and she's a dynamic organizer, Moms Against Guns and Moms Demand Justice. And she put that tweet out, and we both were seeking to talk to each other. And we spent a lot of time talking to each other. I gave her a lot of technical advice, and then I also gave her heart advice in terms of how to enter this conversation. And I remember we were talking, and Shannon said, well, I think it would be great for you to join our call. And I said, no, Shannon, you have to have a conversation amongst yourselves. And what Shannon walked away with, and what those white women did, they said they didn't just want to have a rally, they wanted to have a reckoning.
And it was a conversation that they only could have with themselves because it was work that they needed to do themselves. Now, what black women were going to do and what we have been doing is supporting them in that work. And being a resource in a way to provide feedback, but not to do the work. And what they said on that call was so powerful is that for too long, they have not used their power and their privilege for the greater good for themselves and others. They have expected others to do the work. And so it's just been beautiful everywhere I've gone. The people who I've seen have talked about the fact that they are answering the call. And I think in this moment it is powerful to see so many, whether it has been the white women who answered the call, white dudes, but also the rich, diverse coalition that's beyond ethnicity. That, I mean, it is to a point where we are seeing people who are organizing, whether it's comics for Kamala or cooks for Kamala's or either cats and dogs united for Kamala. It's just powerful to see. Republicans for Kamala. I think the common denominator is Kamala. And that's the part that is so powerful and beautiful, is because it is a unification around someone who is capable, ready to lead this country, that is giving us a sense of joy and excitement, and who has the policy record that actually represents all these groups that are so excited.
How your parents feel about this?
They are elated. They are elated. They're elated. And, you know, I wish they were here. My mom can't be here, but I know she's here in spirit. And I know that, you know, I'm from a small town, Johnsonville, South Carolina, 1,400 people. Johnsonville, South Carolina, 1,400 people. And it's so funny because the word spread. They were like, you were in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. They was like, but we can't get those papers here. So it's been just this thing that I wouldn't be who I am if black women in South Carolina didn't take their dollars, their $2, and hand it to me at church and say, baby, I'm so proud of you. And not just at Johnsonville, but every small town, every place in this country, there are black women who do that to young black kids in those communities, and they try to send them off to places that they know they will never see. And I pay homage to all of those women, the Annie Lou's and the Miss Bernie Roofs, those ladies.
So, you know, we represent the black press.
Yes.
And I want to tell you, after that call, that Sunday night, we had it on the front page of all of our newspapers all over the United States.
Well,
because people are celebrating not only the solidarity, but people rolling up their sleeves going to work. And this convention reflects that work. Now we have to continue that work after this convention. You know, we don't want to repeat of 2016, but people will say, Hillary's a shoo-in. A lot of people relaxed. Even though she won the popular vote, Trump won the electoral vote. We're not going to let that happen this time.
That's so
keep
important.
our enthusiasm, but we got to match our enthusiasm with the work on the ground, in the air, in the newspapers, in the radio. So they'll use all these channels to make sure that we have an overwhelming vote for her. There shouldn't be no close election.
Absolutely, and I have to say the Community Times is still coming to my mama and daddy house every single week. The Community Times comes to our home. That's the paper of the PD region in South Carolina. We are subscribers of the Black Press, and it's always important because the Black Press tells a story that others do not tell.
Thank you. I see another freedom fighter sitting over there.
Right. You got to go.
Lexus.
Okay. Well, let's let Joe take and say goodbye. She's got to go down to the floor. I know y'all want to say something to each other.
Well, no, here's what I'm saying. I mean, my pride in my sister in this moment, I know she gave it up to the incredible Kamala Harris as the reason of the season.
She is.
But we also would not be here without the work that you have done to build the infrastructure, right? Because we don't get ready, right? We stay ready. And we have stayed ready because black women have been ready for a long time for this moment. And so it allowed us to be in formation. It allowed us to be ready for freedom. And that I will always be so grateful to have been in that moment on that call with you.
Yes. And this sister is a win with black women. OG.
Oh, I know.
Because
Yeah.
this is the think everybody keeps talking about all the cost, and all of the other. We were like, it was always if you know, you know.
That's right.
If you know, you know. And so, and it's just so beautiful. This freedom fighter right here, making sure that we all have the freedom to make choices about our bodies, and that is something that is so important that we all need to make sure we take it to the ballot box. I love you, sister. And I love you too.
Love you.
Black press,
Black women.
all day, every day.
For those listening who want to join the call, who are new to the call, the sisters out here, what do they do?
They can go to Win with Black Women, www.winwithblackwomen.org. You can follow Win with Black Women on all socials. We're doing interviews all throughout the week. We love for people to just come up. And if you're a woman that we're in the 44,000, go to our Sisterhood Lounge and make sure that we are checking in and just giving each other the sister love that we all deserve. You know, we do a virtual hug every week on Sunday nights, and it's just beautiful to do them in real life.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good to see you. We'll be in touch. WinWithBlackWomen.org. Y'all check it out. And yes, the president of Planned Parenthood is here, Alexis McGill Johnson. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine. What's it feel like being here and having this experience?
Just joyous, right? I mean, I feel like we are in a moment where we are coming full circle, right? To be in a place where we have such an incredible leader at the top of this ticket, and we have incredible leadership, like I said, that has been put into formation in this moment, right? It's not an accident that Black women have been running this convention. It's not an accident for me that all of the major reproductive rights and freedom organizations are being led by women of color, mostly by Black women. And so it feels like we're in the right time, in the right place for a reason. And so that's the kind of joy that I'm celebrating. Not that there's not work to do, but just to be able to pause.
Well, and we kind of knew that when we said this is going to be Rovember.
Yes.
Anyway, in every election since Dobbs, women have decided and we have won.
That's right.
She was already really being used by the campaign, the Biden-Harris campaign, when it was that, as a spokesperson, setting herself apart in that way. And so this makes it even more significant and important now that she's at the top of the ticket, that is the issue.
It does. I mean, look, reproductive freedom has been on the ballot, and she has been an important kind of validator of the campaign. But the work that she was doing as vice president is equally as important, right? I mean, I spent the last 2 years on the ground with her. I've spent time traveling state by state, watching her listen to patients, watching her talk to providers, watching her talk to lawmakers and judges to really get her arms around the issue. And, you know, I think there's something very unique about someone who has had the multiple professional experiences that she has. She has a lived experience as a Black woman, but she also has prosecuted, assault cases. She has also considered kind of what the policies and the implications of some of these laws are as an attorney general. You criminalize someone because they crossed a state line to get an abortion. They come back and they have to now face penalties. What is that going to do to their public benefits? What is that going to do to their ability to get a job? Like, she's thinking these things through as a matter of policy. She's done so as a sitting senator to interrogate the justices who are now sitting on the Supreme Court and understanding their thinking, and spent time there. And, look, as a sitting vice president, when the Dobbs decision happened, and President Biden said, you have the whole of government at your disposal. She helped us think through, what is the domestic policy we could be considering? Where could we push the boundaries with HHS? How should we be thinking about this from the DOJ and setting up the task force? And so at every turn, asking, what does that journey look like? Will people, we know we're restricted because of the Hyde Amendment, but how can we identify resources for people who have to travel for health care? Can we create a policy around that? How can we protect providers who don't want to lose their license because they are making an emergency decision to save someone's lives? Like, that's the kind of, I think, depth of policy, but also empathy for understanding the situation and what somebody could be in.
And that's what's definitely needed in an hour like this. I've talked to a couple of young sisters, Alexis, and we know our youth are targeted for misinformation and disinformation anyway. And a couple of young sisters said, well, I don't believe in abortion. I said, well, that's fine. That's your choice. That is the point of it. But it's more than that, isn't it? When we think about the history of Black women in this country, and how the majority of that history, black women have been without their bodily autonomy in general. Overall, this is about maternal health.
That's right.
It's not just about it's about all those things.
Absolutely. No, our bodies have always been contested. And so, we are in a moment where the maternal crisis, right? Maternal mortality, we are 3 to 4 times more likely to die on average. But when you drill down in some of our major cities, our major areas where, those numbers go up to 8, 9, you don't get to an average unless you have significant, averages on either side, right? And so the devastation that so many people are experiencing in community, and then you see in this moment that the Dobbs decision did not stop people from seeking access to abortion. It just made it harder for people, particularly us, to get access because we have to get up the money, we have to travel, we have to do the things. Most people who seek access are already parents, so they already have an idea of what it takes to raise a family. And then you layer on the maternal health crisis. And then you layer on all of the ways in which abortion bans have made pregnancy more dangerous, which means the maternal crisis is going to be more dangerous. So I think that for the people who say, I don't believe that, I wouldn't do that, that's fine. No one's forcing you to make a decision, and no one is forcing you to contravene your own faith, right? You can hold your faithful beliefs, you can hold your opinion about the procedure and what you would do, and you can hold those things and still believe the government is not more qualified than you or your provider to make those decisions. And that's really where I think the vice president has demonstrated significant leadership in driving that message home, right? This is about whether or not politicians get to make this decision, not doctors or women.
You just said something interesting. The majority of those who seek access are already parents.
Already parents, yes. Already parents, yes.
So that explodes the stereotype and the mythology. It's just a bunch of, young folks out here using it as a form of birth control.
No, these are people who who have, built a family, and they have, made decisions, consistently about what is right for them. And, they have, whether they're experiencing miscarriage or they've decided that their family is the size that they want it to be, right? All of those things are, I think, any reason that someone makes that decision is their own personal decision, and I think that's an important data point.
And we also know that in the developed world and the underdeveloped world, when women have these types of choices, not to mention access to education and other things, then they're able to achieve further and higher places in life.
That's right. I mean, look, we've seen that just with access to basic contraception, right? Over the last 60 years, women's wages have grown a third just because we've been able to plan when we decide to become. But we get to make a decision. It's the right time for education, the right time to go for a promotion, the right time to, decide, where your children are going to be. And I think that these are all personal, private decisions that you make in the context of your family.
And that you mentioned on contraception, I mean, we definitely aren't in the clear on that either, right? That's it. And is there another case on the table?
Not directly on contraception, but they're testing things, right? They're testing the boundaries on contraception. They're testing the boundaries on IVF. Believe it or not, they're also testing the boundaries on no-fault divorce, right?
That's what JD was saying. What? You shouldn't be able to get divorced.
You shouldn't be able to get divorced. I know. Unless we say it's okay.
That's crazy. So look, Alexis, we represent the black press of America. And I want to say on the record, live, we need to do more to support Planned Parenthood. I'm just going to say that affirmatively. And I mean, like yesterday, we should have been doing more. And as you know, in the black community, certain subjects are not discussed as much as they should be because people are misinformed. There's so much disinformation out there. So because we're the trusted voice of the black community, I just want to pledge to you today, going forward, that this campaign that you have on TV, I want to do that in all of our black newspapers to get them to be more informed about what is happening with the constituency that you represent and with women, with black women in particular. I'm so proud of the black women who done this convention, put everything together. I'm also concerned what happens after the convention. We got to keep this enthusiasm. And the issues that you represent are vital to not only the future of black America, but the future of America. But we got to do our part. because in a lot of these matters, we're disproportionately exposed, disproportionately underserved. So I just pledge to you on behalf of the black press, Mark, we got to do something directly with Planned Parenthood. No filter, straight up.
And that's a part of the education process. Lastly, well, first let me ask you this whole thing about no fault and subjugating women, is there honestly still, Alexis, a segment of women in the electorate that are down with that? I just don't. I mean, I don't know anybody like that. But who? I mean, who? I mean, what? In the most remote rural area, what woman is walking around saying, "Yeah, I agree with JD. We shouldn't let women get divorced"? I mean, do those people exist?
I mean, I haven't found the constituency yet either, right? And look, and I think not everything is sold exactly how it seems, right? I think that the agenda, is maybe positioned in one way, but we also know they engage in a lot of misinformation and disinformation. But the agenda has always been about power and control. It has always been around power and control for the next generation. And so no, I think, those of us who understand what it has taken for us collectively to engage in our own racial progress, gender progress, and to continue to thrive and survive, and to know that their entire political project is to wipe that progress away. And they will come at it from whatever way possible. And so, yes, I think that there are some women that may subscribe to that agenda. I don't know them personally, but they must be getting some kind of traction in some of these circles.
Lastly, you all obviously have an agenda and a plan to make this real, to get voters out, to get women out to vote, all of that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Look, Planned Parenthood Action Fund, political organizations across the country are investing millions of dollars this election cycle. We are going to, Planned Parenthood has 20 million supporters. It's like 5 times more than the NRA.
Yeah.
And we have supporters because the same people who have come to us on the healthcare side to get, we've been with them in some of the most private, intimate times of their lives. They also understand this is healthcare that has to be fought for and protected. And so, we do play a unique role in helping connect the dots between what it will take to protect reproductive freedom, whether that is state by state. We've got to deliver Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to the White House. We also have to give them a governing majority, which means that we've got to win Senate, right? We've got to win up and down the ballot. They need senators in Nevada, in Arizona, in Ohio, in Pennsylvania, places where Black people can be a decisive voice. Florida. We also have ballot initiatives in states like Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Maryland, and New York that are really critical, not only to just getting state constitutional protections, but really helping us build that longer arc towards getting back into the Constitution fully and freely. So, the play is 24, but we're really building to 2040.
Yeah, right. You got to do it.
Yep.
Planned Parenthood folks, President Alexis McGill Johnson, we appreciate your work. And I agree, we're going to do all we can.
All right, thank you.
We got all, we no, absolutely.
Your family. I know your family. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Alexis. Folks, we are live here at the Democratic National Convention, and what we are doing is we're going to see if we can get back to the floor and hear and see some of the proceedings. Chuck Schumer is speaking right now. Let's go in and let's take a listen.
Never ever gets near the White House again. So let's elect Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and a Democratic majority in the Senate, and keep the torch of freedom burning bright for generations to come. On to victory in November.
Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy. I will take on the high costs that matter most to most Americans. Compare my plan with what Donald Trump intends to do. He wants to impose what is, in effect, a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that we import from other countries. It will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. Donald Trump's plan would cost a typical family $3,900 a year. He wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act, which 45 million Americans rely on for health care. He plans to give billionaires massive tax cuts year after year. And he plans to cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion. That if you want to know who someone cares about, look who they fight for. We capped the price of insulin at $35 a month and the total cost of prescription drugs at $2,000 a year for seniors. And just yesterday, we announced that we are lowering the price for 10 more life-saving drugs. As president, I will work to build the housing we need, and by the end of my first term, we will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals that are affordable for the middle class. More than 100 million Americans will get a tax cut by restoring the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit, through which millions of Americans with children got to keep more of their hard-earned income. We will provide $6,000 in tax relief to families during the first year of a child's life. Now is the time to chart a new way forward. I will fight to give money back to working and middle-class Americans. Increase the security and stability financially of your family and expand opportunity for working and middle-class Americans.
Please welcome Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you. My fellow Americans, it is an honor. It is an honor to be with you tonight because we're laying the groundwork for Kamala Harris to become our next president. And let me tell you why that is so important. I want you all to remember where we were 3.5 years ago. We were in the midst of the worst public health crisis in 100 years and the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. 3,000 Americans were dying every day, and our hospitals were overwhelmed with COVID patients. All across the country, businesses were shutting down. Unemployment was soaring. Workers were losing their health insurance. Schools were closing. State and city budgets were running out of money. People were being evicted from their homes. Children in America were going hungry. That was the reality the Biden-Harris administration faced as they entered the Oval Office. A nation suffering, a nation frightened, and people looking to their government for support. And within 2 months of taking office, our government did respond. We passed the American Rescue Plan which provided $1,400 for every man, woman, and child in the working class. We extended and expanded benefits for the unemployed. We provided emergency assistance for small businesses to stay open. We guaranteed health care coverage to tens of millions of Americans through one of the largest expansions of Medicaid in history. We provided rent relief and mortgage assistance, which prevented tenants and homeowners from being evicted. We established emergency food programs for hungry children and the elderly, and protected the pensions of millions of union workers and retirees from being slashed by up to 65%. Oh, and by the way,
Folks, we're back here live at the DNC, and got some good brothers here with us. So, man, you gotta go back over to Roland.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay, let me holler at you real quick. Don't go. Representative Attorney Demario Solomon Simmons is here. My brother, how are you?
I'm fantastic, man. This is my first convention, and it's lit. I don't think it would have been this way if the president was still at the top of the ticket. But now we got Sister Kamala Harris, the vice president. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I feel this energy. I haven't felt this energy since President Obama. And what's exciting about it, I feel like we can get her in there. We can continue to push for justice and reparations and the things that are important to our community. But first and foremost, we got to stop Trump.
What's going on in Tulsa with the case and everything?
So, you know, our two living survivors, 110-year-old Viola Ford Fletcher and 109-year-old Leslie Benefield Randall, the two oldest civil rights activists in the nation. They're still fighting for justice and reparations for the Tulsa Race Massacre. Our case was dismissed out of the Oklahoma Supreme Court back in June, but we filed a motion to petition for rehearing for them to reconsider the erroneous decision. But as you know, we've been pushing for the Department of Justice to open the first ever criminal investigation into the massacre. We actually have an event tomorrow at 11 o'clock at Democracy House, but we're asking that the Biden-Harris administration, before Biden gets out of office, that he pushes his DOJ to open this criminal investigation. You know, the Tulsa Race Massacre is the largest crime scene in the history of this country. You had over 40 blocks burnt down to the ground, over 10,000 people made homeless overnight, over 3,000 people were disappeared, and there's never been a criminal investigation. And the federal government can do this pursuant to the Emmett Till Cold Case Act of 2008 that was reauthorized in 2016. So in other words, brother, we're not asking them to do something special. We're asking them to just follow the law that's in place.
I know you got to go. You are across the hall at Roland. Hey, brother, glad you came. Are you going to be here for the whole convention?
I will be back here Thursday for sure.
Have the two centenarians, the survivors, met Kamala Harris here?
They had. They met her back in 2021. I can tell this story. We, as you know, we had a hearing on Capitol Hill in May 19, 2021, and we were coming to Capitol Hill, and I reached out to the vice president because they wanted to meet her. She was so gracious. We went over. She spent an hour with my clients, including Uncle Red, who passed away back in October, a 102-year-old survivor. She was so gracious. She was so wonderful. She was so warm. And I'm so excited for America to see what we saw and what we experienced from her. We believe she has the right mentality that we continue to push. We understand she's not going to be the president of Black America. We understand she's not an activist. She's not an advocate. She's not a civil rights attorney. She's the president. And we're going to push her to continue to do what needs to be done. But I believe she's the right person to make that happen.
Love you, my brother.
I love you too, man.
We'll see you again.
Absolutely. I'll be back through.
Before the week is over.
Absolutely.
Attorney Demario Solomon Simmons, representing the good folk in Tulsa, trying to get that case done. Thank you,
Absolutely, brother.
Love you, man. Thank you for coming by. Okay, Alabama State Representative. Tell me your name again, my brother.
Jeremy Gray.
Jeremy Gray. Now, tell about what area you represent.
I represent Opelika, Auburn, War Eagle area, East Alabama.
Okay. How close is that Selma?
That's about an hour and 30 minutes from Selma.
That's where we
about
met.
45 minutes from Montgomery. Yeah.
And that's where we met in Selma. So you're a delegate.
Yeah, I'm a delegate.
Tell us. This is your first.
This is my
first time.
This is my
First convention.
Yeah, first convention.
How old are you, young brother?
I'm 38. I was elected in 2018 at the age of 32.
Really?
So in 2020, of course, we had COVID, so I was a delegate, but it was virtual. And this is my first in 2024 coming to
38.
I'm 38.
I was gonna say 20 something.
Dang, I'm not 20 something.
You can work it though.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
just go and put it out there. You'll be all right. You can sell it. So how does this feel to you, man, to be in part of this history?
It's electrifying. You know, just understanding that. I like Biden, but when he changed, the top of the ticket changed. A lot of young people are electrified to vote. They're more engaged. We see this kind of Obama 2008 feel, and so I'm just excited. The roster yesterday was electrifying. All the speakers, the AOC, Hillary Clinton, and so I'm just kind of waiting to see today what Obama's going to do.
How are the young people feeling about her candidacy back home?
I think they're feeling good. Like when we talk about like that debate, right? And we talk about public opinion. We know public opinion in this day and age with social media is everything, right? And so Biden did a lot. Right, he did a lot ever since. I mean, he's one of the greatest presidents since Eisenhower. We talk about money and infrastructure, but people actually they want you to walk the walk, but you also have to talk the talk. And she's doing both. And so people are electrified. They're excited to see a woman president that looked like them going to the White House, and I'm just excited to see it as well.
As you know, a lot of our young people are targeted for misinformation and disinformation on social media. What about the young brothers back home? They with the sister? Or is there some work that's got to be done?
I'm preaching it each and every day. We understand that, you know.
Is it winning people over?
It's winning people over, but you know, sometimes men will be men, and you have to kind of keep putting that message to them, the pastors, and just say, look, this is democracy or die, right? A lot of the things that's going to happen within the next year or two is going to affect us for the next 30, 40 years, right? And so don't be selfish, right? When Obama ran in 2008, we all showed up, and we need to do the same thing in 2024.
Do you have higher political aspirations?
I do. I actually ran for the second congressional district, but Shamari Figures got it, and I'm supporting him.
You did. That's
and
right.
So
that's
it's all about, you know, it's all about getting in the race, and I'm really pushing everything forward. Alabama was suppressing the vote and suppressing black people, and so now we have an opportunity for another congressional district, and hopefully we can get him in on November 5th.
So I'm going to remind you that. So that additional congressional district, how are we looking on that? Because we're still in kind of a situation. I mean, that could go either way. It's 50-50.
It's a 49% African-American district. It was a plus 12 in Biden. I think Shamari is up right now, but you have a Republican that, you know, self-funding, you know, upwards of millions and millions of dollars in her campaign. And so we just got to get people on the ground.
Is she a Trumpster?
Yeah, she's definitely a Trumpster. You can't win Alabama, and on the Republican side, you're not a Trumpster.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, my brother, proud of you, man.
Yes,
Keep
sir.
up the good work. So Selma, 60th anniversary.
That's right. That's coming up.
So we got to be about that life,
I'll
man.
be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, man. Bless you, brother.
Thank
Glad
you,
you're here.
thank you,
and
thank you.
proud of you, man.
Thank you.
You were there for the roll call tonight and everything.
I was.
Alabama went first, right?
We went first, and then we sent it to Delaware. Then it came back to us, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Very proud of you, man. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
A young delegate here at the DNC, folks. We are doing it. We are live here at the DNC, and we've been talking to several delegates, several leaders, several folk who are making a difference. Ask Roderica if she's ready for me. Right there. The sister right there in the black. The sister. And she's ready. Because she said something, if she wants to send somebody in, she sends somebody else over. All right. All right. Folks, we're looking at the floor. Bernie Sanders is actually still up at the moment, so let's check in and see what Bernie is saying.
Create the nation we know we can become. Thank you all very much.
Please welcome Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Fellow Democrats, welcome to Chicago! We're a great American city in a proud blue state. Our patriotism was formed in frost and in fire, and in the steel we forged to survive both. Our love of country has been a tapestry of faith that weaves from Abraham Lincoln reuniting a house divided to Barack Obama declaring blue states and red states make one United States. Now, Illinois' presidential pedigree is unmatched. And given that Vice President Kamala Harris spent some of her early life right here, I speak for the entire Illinois delegation when I say we claim her too. Now, one president we will never claim is the con artist the Republicans nominated in Milwaukee last month. Donald Trump once called Chicago embarrassing. To quote a great Chicagoan who won 6 world championships on these very grounds, we take that personally. I had to govern for 2 years while Trump was president. Let me tell you what's embarrassing. In Illinois, we passed a massive bill to fix our roads and bridges. When Donald Trump proposed his own plan, he turned right around and called it stupid. We eliminated the grocery tax. Donald hasn't been in a grocery store since his first bankruptcy. Illinois invested in clean energy and the jobs it brings. Donald claimed that windmills in the ocean made the whales a little batty. During COVID, we supported small businesses and jobs. And Donald told us to inject bleach. Donald Trump thinks that we should trust him on the economy because he claims to be very rich. But take it from an actual billionaire. Trump is rich in only one thing: stupidity. Now, I meet with business leaders all the time, and there's one universal thing they all need: people. They need more workers to fill all the jobs they have. But the anti-freedom, anti-family policies of MAGA Republicans are driving workers away. Here's the thing. Americans don't want to be forced to drive 100 miles to deliver a baby because a draconian abortion law shut down the maternity ward. Americans want the hope of giving birth through IVF, not the fear that it might be taken away. Americans with LGBTQ kids don't want them facing discrimination at school because the state sanctioned it. Americans want to go to their neighborhood grocery store and not have to worry about some random guy open carrying an AR-15. Americans don't want their kids to be taught in history class that slavery was a jobs program. And if Americans are black or brown, they want to get promoted at work without being derided as a DEI hire
for the sin of being successful while not white. Let's be clear. It's not woke that limits economic growth. It's weird. And these guys aren't just weird, they're dangerous.
Take a break from the floor once again and come right back here. Cheslin Nagaro is here. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you enjoying the convention?
I'm enjoying the convention, the camaraderie, the relationship building, not just the cheerleader thing, but actually just connecting with folks I haven't seen in a very long time and having some discussions, particularly about Black press. It's very important to me.
What kind of conversations?
Conversations like, is Black press being taken care of? Is Black press in the mix? What is the access that we have? Where's the money? Where's the bag? You know, how do we make sure, I'm at Revolt News, so, you know, Black press as well. It's so few of us, and so it's always been important to me to make sure that we're asking those questions from leadership. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, indeed. How you feeling about the nomination of this Black woman?
Well, I mean, I'm excited about it. I'm going to be honest with you, though. I was one of the ones that felt more comfortable with Joe Biden because we know that this really comes down to white women in the swing states. I thought they were more comfortable voting for a Joe Biden opposed to a VP Harris. But we cannot deny the energy that has shifted, the enthusiasm that has shifted, the polls that have went in her favor. So for me, it's not about just me being excited. I'm an organizer first. Before I'm anything else, I'm a ground organizer. And so I'm always looking at how do we take this enthusiasm, what does it look like at what is it going to look like at the ballot box? I've seen a lot of enthusiasm that did not turn out to be what it is. So I'm paying attention to see the money and the investments and how the money's being spent on the ground. Those things are important to me.
Yeah. Do you think white women are going to support her now?
To be honest, I'm just going to keep it real with you, Mark. I don't know. If we look at the data, you know, this is not about, my brother Charlemagne said, well, you know, we want Black women, we want to believe in you, believe in yourself like we believe in you. Black women believe in us. We've never had a question about not believing in us. This is about I don't believe in you.
Yeah.
This is about I don't believe in them. This has nothing to do with us being qualified or overqualified for a job. This is simply looking at the data. And when you look at the data of Black women that voted for Obama and then flipped and went to Trump and then went back to Biden because of Roe versus Wade, I do think a lot of them are going to be on board because of Roe versus Wade. Right. But the question is, what does that look like? How many of those suburban, as they say, suburban, aka white women, how many of them are willing to say, I'm willing to give the job to a Black woman first? I'm just going to be honest, Dr. Chambers. I've never known a white woman on any job of mine that said, you know what? I know you more qualified than me. I know you better at this than me. Go on and take it. That's including that McDonald's on the fries. So I'm just going to be honest about it. I'm concerned about that. And I don't think that should be overlooked. And I think that if people sleep on that and just say, oh no, everybody's excited about it. They didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. They didn't vote for their own. So why would they give it to me? Now I may be jaded. I may be delusional. No. But I'm looking at the data.
Well, a couple of things that were, and you may have seen this, that were encouraging for me. They got in each other's necks on the white women for Harris call.
Right.
If you saw that, they was going at it like this we have messed up.
Right.
So that I was like, I never heard white women talk to each other like that.
Right. No. You never seen Karen be Karen.
Yeah, I was like, they was weighing each other out. I was like, oh God. I mean, I feel bad. They weren't even talking to me.
Right.
Then I feel guilty. But then Cheslin, every day. What is Trump saying? She's not smart. She's not attractive. Now, white women can relate, like you said, they may not step aside and give you a job, but they can relate to a white man on a job, keeping them down, saying they not smart.
That's true.
And this joker saying everything, even Nick Haley said, what white women do you think are going to stay with you when you were talking like the white men on the job, they normally and historically
no doubt about it.
Have been dealing with?
No doubt about it, but we cannot ignore. And the reason why I stress this, it's not about me just being negative.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, because they'll say don't be just speaking in the atmosphere. No, we're not about no hocus pocus. I'm talking about the data. And so when I'm like, that's fine, but I also know some white women that will align themselves with their husbands, that will align themselves with white supremacy, that will say that as long as my white husband is in charge, I'm gonna be all right. Now this is just according to the data. So although I think they'll talk on the job, but what about at home? It's more than just on the job. if that husband at home is their provider, and they think that their white male, who, when we look at record numbers, Trump said that white male support has increased triple. So when those white men, when they feel like they're going to take care of them, the Democrat Party got to pay attention to that. They can't just excuse that as just said, oh no, white women are on board, because the women who were on that call, they were in the West Coast. The women that was on that call, they weren't in the South. Show me to call white women in Georgia. Show me to call white women in Wisconsin. Show me to call white women in
Southern white women call.
Yeah, where's the Southern white women call? Y'all page them because we waiting on. So those are the things we're talking about.
And I think what is different about this moment, and I agree, the question is, where does the data come from?
Right.
Who collects the data?
That's right.
Who organizes the data? And then who interprets the data? See, the problem with overall, we represent the black press and all the great work that you do. We have to kind of push the envelope where we collect our own data, you know, where we do our own poll. All these national polls, I ain't never been polled.
That's right.
You know, I'm 70 years old. I ain't never got a call from the poll. So I don't know how authentic the data really is. You know, the data show that Hillary Clinton should have beat Trump. Trump beat her. You know, so, and the data showed that there was going to be a red wave in 2022. That didn't happen.
That's right.
Yep. So the data is not, the data, the biggest thing about the moment we're in right now, the data didn't see this coming.
That's true. But they didn't.
Nobody saw this coming.
That's right.
And so the question is, how can we take where we are today, an unprecedented moment in American history, and how can we make sure that black-owned businesses, black-owned press, black-owned media, black institutions like HBCUs, black churches, black communities, we have to make sure that we're galvanized, because the tipping point is just not people going out to vote, but they have to go out and vote in record numbers. We can't sneak this opportunity, because if the black vote is the key determining vote, not just in the swing states, but in all the states, I guarantee you there's going to be accountability. You know, one thing I can say about Vice President Kamala Harris, she's, despite what Trump says, this sister's intelligent. You know, she can not only read the tea leaves, she knows that where's her base? Her base is the African American community. But there's a lot of disinformation out here, misinformation, to try to make black people kind of be lukewarm at a time we should be pushing that envelope. So, you know, you asked me earlier, has the campaign pushed out any money to the black press? I guess we can go on the record and say, yes, well, 1.5 million, but that's just the beginning.
What?
Because keep in mind, when President Biden was president, which a lot of people don't talk about, the donors have stopped giving.
Right. Oh no, they did. But I also want to go on record to say
that. But now the donors are giving.
Right. But I also want to go on record to say plenty of money been spent over there with Fox News. And you know, Dr. Davis, I'm a big supporter of you.
Yeah,
so if 1.5 million been given to the black press, where's the rest? The black press cannot, black people cannot be taken for granted. That's one of my, and it will always be.
Oh, no
and second, I don't want this to keep this burden to just be on black folks. Black folks, 90%, if we don't do nothing else, we vote. We got that down.
Well, no,
so if this is not
successful, communities will not vote.
No, but I'm saying we vote more than any other community and anybody else.
But
So
it's still a low percentage.
no, that's true. But it also is important, Dr. Chavez, that black people are not blamed for this. Because if this, I'm just saying, if it don't work out, we don't want to come talking about, well, black men, y'all didn't do this, and black women, because we did our part.
We're not talking about it not working out. We're talking about it working out, and what would it take from us to work it out.
And I'm saying, I'm thinking we're doing, if nothing else, black folk work it out. But we got to be, they got to be also invested in the other people. It's not us, it's them. Where are the white women? They the ones that's flipping. They the ones that flip this. It wasn't us. We have to be careful. I was in the hood today in Chicago talking to black men who are not on board. the forgotten man that Trump and them are going
What
after.
would they say?
Migrant issues, are concerned to them. Not having a voice. A lot of black men are moderate and lean conservative. Those conversations, I got it. I put it on my Instagram today. If you are only talking to, and I was just talking to Representative Presley about this. If you're only talking about abortion, that's going to turn a lot of believe it or not, they're black women and black men who are moderate and conservative. You should be. When I started explaining to those brothers that it's not just about abortion, it's also about reproductive health and fibroids and pain. Black women suffer with fibroids more than anybody else. He said, "Oh, sister, I didn't know that." So the lack of education, the ignoring the people that they think don't matter. 15,000 people made the difference in Georgia. That's enough for a football stadium, to full a high school football stadium. So I think that resources should be spent on them as well.
But I think you made the key point. It is about education. How do you override the misinformation? How do you override the disinformation? It's the responsibility of the black press to keep our community informed.
Right, but they got to pay the black press too.
Listen,
we got to get the check.
We're not talking about charity here. This is business.
That's right, but they ain't looking at it like that, Dr. Davidson. That's the only.
Keep in mind.
Now, I came under your leadership to ask for the check. Now he's sitting up. I came under his leadership and told me to get the check.
I want you to ask for the check. That's no problem. The thing is, when we ask for the check, we have to be clear what we're going to do with the check.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And we have to be clear that so much is at stake.
Right.
In this election.
Right.
It's just not only it is the future of democracy. It is the future of what's known as the United States, but it is definitely the quality of life of the African American community. If you look at what the Republicans are saying, this is white supremacy on steroids.
Right.
On steroids. White supremacy on steroids. And so we can't even entertain going down that lane. And if there's some brothers in the hood that think about doing that, then that means they're misinformed.
Right, but it also means money is not. So the black press, I don't believe the press can win an election. I think it can help you lose one, but it can't help you win. Money on the ground.
No, I think we have helped win elections.
No, well, I'm just saying.
Obama won in 2008.
That's true, Doc. But
because we did our homework.
The white press can't win.
No, I mean, press is an important tool, but also an organizer on the ground. I was the only African American on the national level with Bernie Sanders in 2015. Nobody even knew who he was. We won Michigan by 2% margin. It was 10 of us on the ground. I helped flip that state because I went to Flint when Hillary Clinton was ignoring Detroit. I think she had Detroit in the bag and was ignoring Flint. I got 5 black people that Bernie Sanders met, probably the only 5 he met since. He ain't met no black people since. The 5 black people that he met, that one hug that he did with Danielle Green, who later became a school board member, that one hug, they made that advertising and put it all over the state of Michigan. He won by 2% because of the labor union and because of hugging black folks, and Bernie Sanders never showed empathy for anything. So the press helped put that out, but it was the organizing on the ground. I'm an organizer. It was organized on the ground where I had a 7-year-old at home as a single mom. It was organized on the ground. My mother was dying of cancer. She had 6 months to live, and my ass was on the ground. If money is not put into organizers to go to those hoods, to have those conversations, we sat in the hood today for 4 hours. There was a black candidate right now, I'm not going to say no names, that just got mollywopped at the polls in Michigan that called and said, "What can I do to get out the vote?" I said, "Brother, you got to spend the money. These brothers ain't coming out just to be saying coming out no ancestors. That ain't working." So you spent the money on the white consulting firms. You got to do the same with black organizers. These people got to be paid. You're listening to Donald Trump go organize local rappers in Detroit. Y'all can laugh about it. You can talk about it on Instagram. Don't nobody know who he is. Don't nobody know who he is. Well, actually, Ice Vino, they got much respect for him in Detroit. So he's going and peeling off these 2%, this 1%, this and organizing people, putting money in their pocket. He said in Wisconsin, "I'm trying to buy your vote." So this Democrat Party, the same thing I said with Dr. I come on his leadership, so I guess he done got nice on it. But in 2012, we did a news, I don't know if you remember, Dr. It was in the state of Florida. We did an ad in 2012 talking about spending this money. So I'm not just talking about the press. I'm talking about putting money in these brothers' hands. They have to be educated on the issues, and you must pay them. Period. End of discussion. And they're not doing it, Doc. No, they just not.
Your team is trying to pull you out.
Let me interject here for a moment.
You ain't moving.
No, I'm not trying to figure why y'all trying to pull me out.
Let's figure it out.
No, this too good. This is legacy here. Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned Florida.
Yes.
I'm gonna digress just a moment. We talked about polls and how polls are not really talking to us.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do my personal thing. Brothers that I've talked to who came up with, who opposed voting, they couldn't vote, but because of their pride, they weren't willing to say that. They were willing to fight to the end, but they never, because of whatever reason, they couldn't. So when we talk about polls and people saying that they ain't gonna vote, for me, the ones that I deal with, that I've asked, they can't vote.
That's it.
You know, and that so we as men, black men, you know, when you scrape us and we got a little something to hide, it's difficult for us to come out in the open and say, well, man, I can't vote.
Right, but see, I guess from an organizer
I agree with
standpoint,
you 100%.
we met a brother today that gladly said he was alive. I got in Orlando, Florida, Regina Hill was arrested 21 times and a felon. I got her elected. We did it on $2,000. We went to the brothers that couldn't vote. We went and asked them to get their baby mama to vote, to get your cousin to vote. But it takes money to fuel that. And I'm just being honest. They don't invest with the organizers. Because that's really just what it comes down to.
With you 100% about the money.
Yeah.
You know, but again, on the other side of that, and if I can buy your vote, I can buy you.
Yeah, but that's what politics is. This is a negotiation. No, this is a negotiation. In any relationship, it's a negotiation. If I'm with a man, you want X, Y, Z, you want to be a good wife, you want me to do all this virtuous woman, you say I'm supposed to go do this, then this is what I'm expecting you to do for this. Politics is a negotiation,
And another
a
man
conversation.
come out with a little bit more money. You
Not necessarily, not if you're the virtuous woman. Don't make me break down Proverbs 31 because
I ain't going there now.
No, I want to go. No, we need to go there because I use that word. Yeah, we're gonna straighten that out. No, but if you come along, but if you got more money, but you're not attending to my other needs, if you're not giving me words of information, if you ain't giving me quality time, I'm a preacher now. If you ain't giving me access to service, your money ain't enough because I get the bag. You have to do all of those things that are important to me. Yeah,
you've been virtuous one.
Well, that's the key. But these brothers that are not being heard, they done with the words of affirmation. They done with that. They don't want to hear you talk about no ancestors. They done with it. They want acts of service. Somebody got to put some money in somebody's pocket. Period. That's where they are. So when you're talking about 15,000 people making the difference in Georgia, we're talking about 15,000 people. That's why Donald Trump, they're doing the lost man campaign. They just getting just enough.
Look,
Just enough.
I was just in Georgia. The brother had a T-shirt on, "Niggas for Trump."
Yes.
That's miseducation.
Well, he's a nigga and he
That's
for Trump. So how was that misinformation? That's who he was.
Because when
But
you
what's
call
that
it-
misinformation? I know plenty of niggas for Trump,
you
though,
call
dog.
yourself a nigga,
Right.
and you're so proud of being a nigga, you put it on your T-shirt, and you said that Trump is going to keep you a nigga.
But
No,
but that's what he supports.
Yeah, but I'm saying that brother is miseducated.
Well, he gon' but he gonna stay miseducated.
No, he's
See,
not gonna stay
No, yeah, dude. See, I'm not
I
here.
don't like those brothers.
See, I like. See,
nobody. You say you're a preacher.
I'm a preacher.
Nobody's beyond redemption.
No, that's right. But we ain't got time for him.
No,
see,
no.
So this how I like to do it. I'm like Moses. I'm not gonna talk for no 40 years. And see, that's why Moses didn't make it up to the prophet saying, Dr. Chase want to go back tell him how you know nigga and all that. We gonna go over with Joshua, with the ones that are read. Hey, I'm Harry Tubman, but you know difference between me and Harry Tubman. I ain't come back get none of y'all. I'm a honk the horn one time. I ain't getting risk of getting killed over you. I'm a honk. My grandmother was a bus driver. Okay. And she told me you better be on this bus stop because she ain't making no extra stops. Once you know that the bus is leaving, you gonna get on the bus. Everybody ain't gonna make it. We appreciate Dr. Javis talking to. Can we talk about it? We appreciate Dr. Javis talking about it for 40 years. Remember when he was in Belly? He said, "Come on, brother, give it." I ain't doing that. Brother gonna get shot. I mean, I use it in my metaphors all the time. Hey, I'm a 60 gunner. I'm not. Dr. Chavis don't know. I talk about him all the time in my lives. Y'all been called Dr. Chavis. That's gonna talk you out of it, brother. Give me. I'm gonna knock your head off. I'm an M60 gunner. You gonna get your blown off playing with me. So we need different people that do different things. We want Dr. Chavis go back and tell him how he ain't no nigga for Trump. Me, I'm gonna go over and get the other niggas that want to be for who they are, and let's go get the homies. I organize Bloods, Crips, people straight out the penitentiary. They rock with me. They call me the Hood Whisperer. But it can't take money for me to go the Hood Whisperer. But it take money for me to go after. They don't want anybody no ancestors, and I ain't gonna talk about giving me no gun either, like Dr. Chavis. So we appreciate what he's done, but it got to be a different conversation. Money should be going after the lost black man. They need to be heard, and we don't need a lot of them. And we ain't got to change their mind on how they think. They just need to know it's room for you at the table. Now, if you want to be in the wilderness for 40 years like Moses and you miss your spot because the Lord told you, I told you don't hit the rock. You keep explaining to slaves. Go on over. I'm Joshua. We over to the new generation. You can sit over if you want to. I'm going on over. And that has to be the mindset.
Theologically.
We got it.
Theologically. But what's the last one? Theologically, there wouldn't have been a Joshua if it hadn't been for Moses.
That's right.
So each generation has to rise to its own occasion.
That's right.
And particularly for our people, we have to be informed by our struggle in the past. You don't mean to go back and live in the past.
That's right.
We shouldn't try it. This is 2024. This is not the 1960s.
That's right.
But you can learn from it.
That's right.
You know, so we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. And that's why I am optimistic. I'm not pessimistic.
Oh, yeah.
I think that we have a greater chance to change today than ever before in our lifetime.
We agree, and I'm just going biblical, and we'll close it up. I'm about getting. I'm about. Well, I'm back. No, it's not that. It's not about getting back. I want them to take care of the organizers because again, Gideon's
but the
army
organizers got to be paid.
Right, but again, Gideon's army had 300. You can talk to 10,000, but the 300 matters. Yeah. And if we're not penetrating that, if we're not trying to get those 300 on board and focusing and penetrating on it, we're going to keep missing the mark.
I understand.
We're just going to keep missing the mark. And so I don't have time to keep talking you out of. I was a veteran. When I'm in war, I ain't got time to keep talking you about what you did. I got to go get who ready to move. I got to get who's ready to move. We don't have that kind of time. You got 80 days left. Everybody ain't gonna be educated. Everybody ain't gonna make it.
So look what just happened in the last 3 weeks. We're not talking about 80 days.
Right.
We're talking about 21 days.
Right.
You know, look what just happened.
Right, and look what just happened. They raised $500 million, and the grassroots organizers, still the black grassroots organizers that talk to these brothers that y'all say just need to be educated, and they just need to know, and they just need to understand.
That's true.
They
You're
have not dropped that money. Drop that money. You paid it for Fox News, and I've been going on Fox News for 10 years, so I'm all about going to the other side. But you figured out the bag to go to them, so figure it out.
Here it is.
Yeah.
When we got a team,
right?
A lot of us go at this thing separate.
Right.
You take them 40. How many that lap water like dogs? You take them. Give me the other one.
That's right.
But we form a team.
Right.
So we haven't formed a team to go after this stuff. You going at a piece, I'm going at a piece, you're going at a piece. If we came together collectively as a team spelled with two.
How many in the collective you talking about though? Yes, sir.
Okay, as a team, it's spelled with two of them. Together, each accomplishes much more.
That's right.
Yeah, then we can get what we want.
But can we be all right with a small team? Yeah. We just need a small team. I'm with you on that. It can't be everybody. Yes.
So the fact of the matter is, this ain't on me. You know, she doing it.
I'm sitting among legacy here. It's hard for me to get up.
So the fact of the matter is, she's right in the sense like they honored Jesse Jackson last night, but a decision was made to cease what used to happen when Jesse was actively here. Mm-hmm. That money flowed. You know, it wasn't like folks just said, we finished with that. We would go register people who were not registered. That was the math. You created whatever the margin you needed to win. You registered that number of voters. That money flowed to organizations, black grassroots organizations, to register those voters and to mobilize those voters and come up with the transportation, the buses, to get them to the polls. And that's gone. Now, they say they're going to put it back in after Thursday. Everybody check. They hold the money till Thursday. And after she accepts nomination, money just going to spigot going open. That's what they say. I don't know. We'll see. But no, that's been like that for a minute. That goes back to the Clintons even. They stopped spending the kind of money on the ground.
That's right.
We're talking about press band. We're talking about
that's right.
The organization.
That's right.
On the ground. And part of it was to, and you alluded to this earlier, was to be able to blame us. Something goes south. So that's really what. And so she's right in that sense. That's what we got to make the case for, make the argument for. And a lot of the organizations that were around when Reverend Jackson was in his prime, they never got the money, so they went out of business. They're not even around anymore.
And they stopped when you. So again, we're not even talking about just getting them to register to vote. There's organizations like in Detroit, New Era Detroit, that are literally stopping violence in our communities. Somebody should be writing them a check every year to say, here go 1 million just to make sure y'all stay in office so that you don't sell out. I just left Fox News. The woman set up the former press secretary said, we need people like Tesla. They've been begging me. I've never taken $1 from Fox. I've been on 10 years. Then people have been begging me year over year over year over year over year. Come to the other side. Come to the other side. So at some point, somebody, no, I'm not. But I'm saying don't get confused if somebody comes to the other side, because the money damn show ain't on this side. So people say you must be getting paid. Where the check at? Because I want to know where it's at. At some point in time, you got to take care of the people on the ground. You just do. And those organizations, fund your activists. Stop trying to be celebrities in Congress. Fund the activists who gonna keep it going year round, year round, year round. Don't nobody want to hear about registering nobody to vote, and you ain't making sure they can't fund their programs the week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. They're not putting the money on the ground, particularly in Florida. Yeah, so we just got to keep pushing that.
Well, you know, the other thing that's interesting about what you're saying, to the Biden administration's credit, they did put quite a bit of money on the ground for violence interrupters, because Pastor Mike did that. So that's never happened before. Communities intervening, violence interrupters. So, but you're right. I mean, all this has to happen. That's why we're here to hold them accountable and to appeal to folks with some sense, which I think our queen has. Sister, you know how we used to do this. I'm talking about Kamala. You know how this needs to be done. You need to overrule the elites, because let's be, you don't know what the money is. Let me tell you what the money's about. Campaigns now aren't even really run by typical political campaign managers. You know who runs campaigns now? Television, former television execs, television ad buyers.
White folks.
Right, and because we ain't no black folks in them jobs, no way.
That's right.
So that's the same thing. And they convince campaigns to do nothing but buy TV ads, and that's it. TV. Not to mention, most folks we talking about don't even look at TV and watch the news no more anyway. They on TikTok, they on everything else, they on streaming, they on YouTube. But if you study, and people have done studies on this, she need $500 million, and trust me, there's some folk waiting until she stop them to take all $500 million of those dollars she's raised and put it on TV, not on the ground.
Right.
So that's part of it, and that's the white consultant class that is doing it. That's what we up against. And we've had some good black candidates who've lost races they should have won because TV. And you go, we Hollywood, we're gonna put it on TV, give us all this money, and then put it on the ground. So it's got to be. That balance.
I have to be honest here with the black president. I didn't say what I'm telling y'all in Fox. I would never say that in the audio. What they're not doing. But with y'all, with my leadership, I gotta tell you the truth on exactly what it is. We can sit here and play a game and do this. Oh man, we're gonna be looking good. No, I'm telling you, brothers, so they hurting. It's organizations out there that absolutely. When you look at what Governor Newsom's done with the taking off gang enhancement, right now in California, I know plenty of brothers right now that would crisscross this country for him, but Newsom don't even know they exist. You have got to grab those people that you normally that think you should know and think you educate. No, bring them into the city. Give these people jobs. Get them a job year round. I told Bernie Sanders that. You let your one black sister, Crystal, who was running South Carolina for you. I said, why don't y'all just pay her once a year? Just give her $50,000, $60,000. They ignored that. What did she go do? Go work for Cory Booker. And guess what she's doing now? The first black woman that runs the DNC. That could have been you, Bernie. But you chose to ignore that. You have got to get behind these organizers on the ground first. The press is important, but these organizers, you would think if I'm the only black woman, I'm not saying this I want a job, I'm just telling you what it is. You would think that the only black woman that helped you flip this state, Bernie Sanders didn't even send flowers to my mama's grave, to the funeral. So how is it at some point in time I'm gonna say, something about this ain't making no sense? No, sir, I helped you deliver that state. They told you, them same people I took and gave them to Attorney Crump, and we won a $600 million lawsuit. 300 people, I'm not bragging, I'm telling you facts. 2 years ago, 300 people came from all over the country to Atlanta to sit under me for 12 hours. They paid their own ticket. They was there at 6 a.m. in the morning to say we want to be candidates, operatives, and organizers. Not one time has somebody said, Tesla, how can you do that again? I run circles around these pundits when it comes to organizing on this ground. Now, I'm not saying give it to me. I'm just telling you that I'm speaking from a place of what I've done, not what I heard. And they do not fund these organizations that can do that. And that's a problem, y'all. And I'm just telling y'all, because I hope y'all tell y'all friends, like, y'all can sit around here and bring Beyonce out here all you want to. But at the end of the day, you better go pay some of them brothers and fund some of their nonprofits and tell them if they got to bring their friends to the polls, if they got to do whatever they got to do so they know they going to eat next year, that's going to make the difference.
All right. All right. We good? It's a both end. Fund the black press, fund the black organizers.
That's right.
That's what we got to do.
No,
We are. Now, them tell about a sign that need to be on the floor. They tell about a sign that need to be on the floor. Now, you say, we all go down there with a sign, fund the black press, fund the black organizers. And they be like, oh, we need but one. They get on TV, they gonna be like, where that come from? Why they doing that?
And then if I say something, y'all gonna be mad at me. Oh, you speaking negative. Oh, you like I told I said, well, Roland, did you get your check? Just say it. If you got the check, just say it. Because we trying to figure out like what's going on. This excuse on Thursday, and I'm telling you guys, no, that's not good enough. You gave it to them white folks at Fox. I don't want to hear nothing about are we on the air? We just talking now.
No, we live.
Yeah, well, hey, I don't want to hear nothing about what you get. Oh, it's coming on Thursday. Fox got it last week. And those voters, they ain't voting for you. Stop taking advantage and advantage of black voters that you think you got in the box. And if you don't get number the extra 20,000 to come to the polls in Georgia, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'll tell our mutual friend you came on and cut up.
Yes,
tonight.
please.
She gonna love that. She gonna love that.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Just so everybody know, this is my leader. He done. I guess you done got soft on him, Dr. Chase, because I used to be pretty hard on with the.
I'm still hard. I'm about winning.
Yes.
I don't like struggling to struggle.
Right.
You struggle to win. And we have to determine and define what is winning. Not the people who are struggling against it. That's how I know. And I appreciate this conversation because it brings into clarity of what needs to be done, not just for this moment, but ongoing.
Yes.
Even after the election, we need to have engagement of our organizers and of our own institutions, but also think that we need to get so that we generate. I have a problem. I don't think freedom is not free, and we're waiting for other people to pay for our freedom. We will never be free. But at the same time, there's accountability. There's responsibility. It's something that's called reparatory justice, reparatory economy. Our people help build this country, help create the wealth of this country, but there's been no return on that investment. That's what Dr. King talked about in his last speech. Most people don't quote that part.
That's right.
So we do need an agenda and a plan, an action plan, and we need to be able to measure what has this administration done? What is the new administration going to do? What is this? And not just the federal government, but state governments and local governments.
That's right.
It goes up and down.
That's right.
We have to hold everybody accountable because democracy is just not at a voting booth.
Right.
It is at the voting booth, but democracy is also at the bank.
That's right.
Democracy is also at the school. Democracy is also at the church.
Right. And democracy is also I need to be able to buy a sandwich. We're literally talking about the bare minimums here. You know what I mean? And I want to show my love.
A little more than a sandwich.
Yeah, but they only want to give me a sandwich. Like they just do it because of the ancestors do. No, literally. And again, we ain't talking about just no NAACP and no Urban League. No, we ain't talking about that. The Democrat Party gave a black organization, a black male organization. I ain't gonna say no name. They told them, here go $5,000. Y'all do what y'all can with it. That's embarrassing. So at some point we got to get together. Before we get, I do want to show my love to Thurman Jones.
Yes.
President, publisher of Dallas Gazette. That was my first black press job in the year 2000.
Yes.
Wasn't nobody, but I was assistant to the publisher. So when I say black press, I'm black press.
The North Dallas
Gazette. It wasn't nobody but me and Mr. Jones in the office. And every time we came up with an answer, he made me write out a memo of understanding. I said, Mr. Jones, ain't nobody but me, figure out I need you to write out a memo of understanding. So I come from the memo of understanding. We got to write it out. So we put a memo of understanding that they have to make that investment. And I'm depending on y'all to call it out. Because if I call it out on national media, they're gonna say I'm trying to help the Republicans and I'm trying to help Trump, and that's not it at all.
Yeah.
But that's not it at all. But somebody got to go tell somebody something because they're going to lose. They're going to lose if they don't make this
thousands
investment.
of people watching this program, and I believe that some of the people who make decisions are hearing it. Okay, I mean that's the purpose of the black press is to inform. It is to have a broader discussion where our interests are articulated. No one should speak for us but us. Nobody should be organizing us but us. Nobody should be mobilizing us. That doesn't mean that, yes, we need coalitions. But if we wait for somebody else to give us our freedom, we will never be free.
What do y'all think about NABJ? And I'll let y'all go. The conversation I've been bringing up, oh man, we can't believe they let Trump do NABJ. Let's have a conversation on why the real estate was able to be bought. We done got real, didn't we? Because the Democrat Party wasn't buying it. So Trump and them been knocking down doors on black media. They've been knocking down door. Hey, we want to buy. And we've been saying, you know what, so at the end of the day, let's talk about it.
Trump,
right. Well, Trump he definitely been coming over to our folks. But we got a Gen Z. We have a Gen Z demographic. We got a hip hop demographic at Revolt News. I'm the chief political correspondent. Trump and them definitely want to get in the mix because you got Gen Z, you got hip hop, and they have realized that's a demographic that we can pull. That's a demographic that we can talk to. But the Democrat Party say wait till Thursday. But Trump and them been talking way before Thursday. So
that's another conversation.
That's another, yeah.
Well, in fairness, they didn't have no money. See, this was also nothing. The money was gone.
You talking about
when he
Democratic
dropped. When the time Biden dropped, there was no money.
Okay.
So she brought the money back, and that's why they saying they count the money and then they gonna let it go.
But we also know we've been talking about this. At least I've been talking about it with Dr. Chad since 2012. Y'all keep talking about y'all lost the money, can't find the money, but they did find it when it went to Fox News. Somehow it got found last week. So whoever found it for Fox News, we need y'all to find it over on the other. That's all I'm saying.
My point was, you mentioned the Gen Z and some stuff that they were wanting to pull in.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking, so why are they that easily manipulated?
No, they're
just asking.
I'm asking you. It's not about being manipulated. They're forgotten. Nobody's having.
There's something.
Now you answering me the question now, brother.
Okay.
Now come on now. You answer me the question. See, when they hear, are they easily manipulated? They shut that down because they think. I know. I'm telling you. It's not about being manipulated. Nobody's talking to them. So if nobody's talking to you and nobody's investing in you, let's just use a relationship demographic. If I'm sitting up at the bar and you ain't said nothing to me all night, and some man come say something to me, he may not be the finest, he may not be the richest, he may be whatever, but you the only one talking to me, so you my only option. So it's not that I'm easily manipulated. You just ain't came and said nothing to me. You've been watching me from across the room, so get up and say something. They not saying nothing. That's why.
But to be clear though, Tesla, the NABJ is not the black press.
That's right.
The NABJ are black journalists who work for the white press.
That's true.
I mean, those are most of those. I mean, we go, but the vast majority in that group, that's the fraternity of journalists that work for white-owned media. So they don't need that money.
Right.
Now, the NABJ, an organization, might need some. Are you saying that he brought some money to the organization?
I'm
to the
saying
NABJ organization.
That he was able to get that type of real estate because it wasn't sold out. Meaning, when you buy up everything, it ain't sold out. So Trump was able to get that type of access. Just like, remember they did a couple years ago with Omarosa. So the question, everybody's saying, why did they do it? Why did they do it? What did the Democrat Party buy it out? Did you buy out the club? In the hip hop, we say buy the club. Buy where can't nobody else get nothing else. I just want the conversation had. We can get into the technicalities of it, but we must have the conversation on why they're able to get into these spaces. Just like what Bush did with the faith-based initiative. We must have the conversation on why they're able to get into these little cracks and crevices, and why the conversation of well, your ancestors did it, why it's not landing.
You saying Trump gave them some money?
I can't say that for sure.
Okay.
But what I've heard, I don't want to go on record saying against money. Okay. But all I know is they've been begging to spend some money.
That may be true, but also there was some ambitious Negroes over there, because folks are clout chasing, want to make a name for themselves.
Okay.
And they had a split in the organization. because folk didn't want that. So I folks resign from positions.
That's right.
And then they bring in somebody who ain't never been to NABJ meeting. What's the girl from Fox? What's her name?
Here's Father.
Harris. So and they invited Kamala.
Right.
So when you asked for them, they just said.
So the ambitious Negroes, they got to check somewhere too, then, didn't they?
I'm gonna tell you what probably went down.
Okay.
Some of them got some individual money.
That's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if NABJ didn't
So
get
what's
that.
the key word? Somebody got something.
Yeah.
So why didn't somebody else get something? that's all.
So, I want to end this out.
Okay, because we can sit here all night, y'all.
It's good. It's good conversation.
On a positive front.
Good black conversation. Black folk talking. That's what we're supposed to be here talking to each other anyway. Talking.
So, Mark, what the last 40 minutes has exhibited, you know what it has exhibited? That the black community is not monolithic.
That's right.
It's interesting. We demand diversity for white folks, but we don't allow diversity among ourselves.
That's right.
That's a non sequitur. That's a contradiction. And so we can talk about these matters. We can disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable. You're not my enemy because we disagree.
That's right.
But it also shows we have different perspectives in the black community. And the job of the black press is not to represent one perspective,
That's right.
but all the perspectives.
That's right.
That's why we do what we do.
That's right.
Thank you for coming on
Thank
the
you
show.
so much. This was an honor. This was great. We can go on. They done told us to rap about 50 times, but I'm sitting among leaders and legacy, so this was good conversation.
Your information.
Yeah, I'm gonna get your information. I'd love to come back, Dr. Chavis. Thank you so much.
Like I said, our friend gonna get a kick out of this one.
Yeah, and I see Tamika, and make sure you text Tamika and tell her I don't want to put our business in the street, because I told her when she get here, she better be telling me what she.
Did she reply to me? What she said?
Look, I'm trying to get through your nose a bit, but I was like, oh,
She ain't even responding to me.
Oh, okay. Make sure you tell me.
You know, she outside ain't trying to tell nobody what she is.
I love y'all, man. This is great. I would love to come on anytime.
Let's talk some more. No, let's talk some more. Breon, come sit down real quick, because Michelle Obama about to speak. We got to go to her.
Absolutely.
Come down and say something to us, my brother. Breon Wells is here. That was a great conversation. My brother, come on, have a seat.
It shows we have diversity in the community.
That's right. My brother, how are you? How's it feel to be? Tell us what you're doing here, because you're doing your own broadcast.
Absolutely. So I lead a firm, the Daniel Initiative. Right. We're a government relations and social impact strategies firm. We've been around for 12 years, helping movements, helping these politicians, elected officials, not just here in the United States, but in Switzerland, in the UK, in Spain, very much connect to these legislative spaces. But also we're here because I have a podcast called The Policy Plug, where we help make it make sense for multi-marginalized communities. And we are here on Media Row, broadcasting live, talking to these congressional members, talking to these celebrity influencers that are here, and really just helping to give perspective on what are we here for.
And so what's your take on where things stand now in terms of what Kamala's doing and the impact she's having?
Yeah, I think, one, we're in a historic moment that needs to be said. There's been groundwork laid when you think of Shirley Chisholm, right? And her making the run. We're now coming for a moment in the circle of first black and first Southeast Asian woman that's at the top of a ticket. But then also, we should acknowledge that while there's consternation on certain policies, it's important to note that she cares. Because when we're talking about looking at Project 2025, when we're talking about looking at maybe what, we've seen a Trump administration in play, we already know what that playbook looks like. It's good to at least have someone in these policy spaces that cares to some extent that you can even negotiate with.
Right.
We don't have perfect politicians, we don't have perfect policy, but can you find someone that you can connect with and at least engage in conversation?
That's right.
And I think that's what Kamala Harris offers as well.
We've got to find somebody we can sit across the table from.
That's right. Because again, Project 2025, and I hope we can't talk about it enough.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the elimination of the Department of Education. And we know in the black and brown community, education is often a pathway through which we make economic mobility happen for a lot of these family members. When we're talking about even a lot of the gutting out of civil employees, these actual civil service, so not the political appointees levels, the people that, regardless of what party, have the policy expertise, know how things operate. Like these things, Project 2025 would gut that. So that means you can't really count on Social Security. You can't really count on the Department of Education. You can't really count on these spaces. And that's what we're up against if we don't make a very intentional and focused attention at the ballot box, and not just at the presidential level. Implementation, I often say, is the most important part of public policy. So how are we making sure that our governors, how are we making sure that our mayors and our city council and our school board races are also indicative of our strategy that we want to see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My brother, good to see you, man. Hey, tell people how you can keep up with the Daniel Initiative.
Absolutely. So www.thedanielinitiative.org. On Instagram, it is I am Breon Wells. And then on Twitter, it is RealDaniel24. We look forward to engaging with you.
My brother, good to see you, man. I hate to rush you, but Michelle Obama's about to come up.
Absolutely.
You gonna go inside? You gonna go inside and watch?
I am.
Love you, brother. All right, man. Thank you, Breon Wells. Folks, we're gonna go back inside right now. The first gentleman, the second gentleman is what actually you call him, is speaking. So we're going to go on the inside and see what he has to say.
And,
Let's step on in.
A lot has changed in our lives since the early 90s, but my team name is still Nirvana. Yes, after the band. I worked hard, and I love being a lawyer. And by the way, I still get to be part of the profession by teaching students at Georgetown Law School. I got married, became a dad to Cole and Ella. Unfortunately, I went through a divorce, but eventually started worrying about how I would make it all work. And that's when something unexpected happened. In 2013, I walked into a contentious client meeting. We worked through the issue, and by the end of the meeting, the now happy client offered to set me up on a blind date, which is how I ended up with Kamala Harris's phone number. Now, for generations, people have debated when to call the person you're being set up with. And never in history has anyone suggested 8:30 a.m. And yet, that's when I dialed. I got Kamala's voicemail, and I just started rambling. Hey, it's Doug. I'm on my way to an early meeting. Again, it's Doug. I remember I was trying to grab the words out of the air and just put them back in my mouth. And for what seemed like far too many minutes, I hung up. By the way, Kamala saved that voicemail, and she makes me listen to it on every anniversary. But that message wasn't the only unusual thing about that day. Now, Kamala, who normally would have been working hard at her office, just happened to be waiting at her apartment for a contractor to do some work on her kitchen. I was eating at my desk, which was not a regular occurrence for a busy lawyer like me who appreciated a good business lunch. But that's when she called me back. And we talked for an hour, and we laughed. Well, you know that laugh. I love that laugh. And maybe that counted as our first date. Or maybe it was that Saturday night when I picked her up and told her, buckle up, I'm a really bad driver. Because you can't hide anything from Kamala Harris, so you might as well own it. And as I got to know her better and just fell in love fast, I learned what drives Kamala. And it's what you've seen over these past 4 years, and especially these past 4 weeks. She finds joy in pursuing justice. She stands up to bullies just like my parents taught me to. And she likes to see people do well, but hates when they're treated unfairly. She believes this work requires a basic curiosity in just how people are doing. Her empathy is her strength. Over the past decade, Kamala has connected me more deeply to my faith, even though it's not the same as hers. She comes to synagogue with me for high holiday services, and I go to church with her for Easter. I get to enjoy her mom's chili relleno recipe every Christmas, and she makes a mean brisket for Passover. It brings me right back to my grandmother's apartment in Brooklyn, you know, the one with the plastic-covered couches. But Kamala has fought against anti-Semitism and all forms of hate her whole career. She's the one who encouraged me as second gentleman to take up that fight, which is so personal to me. And those of you who belong to blended families know that they can be a little complicated. But as soon as our kids started calling her Mamala, I knew we'd be okay. Ella calls us a three-headed parenting machine. Kamala and Kirsten, thank you both. Thank you both for always putting your family and the kids first. Now, Cole and Ella's friends knew that when they'd come over for Sunday dinner with Mamala, it was going to be real talk. In between taking cooking instructions, they'd have to answer questions about what problem they wanted to solve in the world. They learned that you've always got to be prepared because Kamala is going to prosecute the case. And in the same breath that Cole and Greenlee told us that they were engaged, they asked Kamala to officiate their wedding. And in the same way that she always steps up when it matters, Kamala put so much time into those remarks, and she bound them in a book that matched her dark red dress, and then turned that into a gift for the happy couple. A few days ago, during this incredible time we're going through, there was a brief window when Kamala was back at home. And I saw her sitting on her favorite chair, and in the middle of a wild month, I just hoped that she was having a quiet moment to herself. But then I realized she was on the phone. And of course, my mind went to all the potential crises that the vice president could be dealing with. Was it domestic? Was it foreign? Was it campaign? I could see she was focused, and all I knew was that it must be something important. And it turns out it was. Ella had called her. That's Kamala. That's Kamala. Those kids are her priorities, and that scene was a perfect map of her heart. She's always been there for our children, and I know she'll always be there for yours too. Kamala is a joyful warrior. It's doing for her country what she has always done for the people that she loves. Her passion will benefit all of us when she's our president. And here's the thing about joyful warriors. They're still warriors. And Kamala is as tough as it comes. Just ask the criminals, the global gangsters, and the witnesses before the Senate Judiciary Committee. She never runs from a fight. And she knows the best way to deal with a coward is to take him head on. Because we all know cowards are weak, and Kamala Harris can smell weakness. She doesn't tolerate any BS. You've all seen that look, and you know that look I'm talking about. That look is not just a meme. It reflects her true belief in honest and direct leadership. And it's also why she will not be distracted by nonsense. Kamala knows that in order to win, we cannot lose focus. America, in this election, you have to decide who to trust with your family's future. I trusted Kamala with our family's future. It was the best decision I ever made. This Thursday will be our 10th wedding anniversary, which I know it means I'm about to hear that embarrassing voicemail again. However, that's not all I'll be hearing. That same night, I'll be hearing my wife, Kamala Harris, accept your nomination for President of the United States. And with your help, she will lead with joy and toughness, with that laugh and that look, with compassion and conviction. She'll lead from the belief that wherever we come from, whatever we look like, we're strongest when we fight for what we believe in, not just against what we fear. Kamala Harris was exactly the right person for me at an important moment in my life. And at this moment in our nation's history, she is exactly the right president. Thank you so much.
Please welcome former First Lady Michelle Obama.
Something wonderfully magical is in the air, isn't it? Yeah. You know, we're feeling it here in this arena, but it's spreading all across this country we love. A familiar feeling that's been buried too deep for far too long. You know what I'm talking about. It's the contagious power of hope. The anticipation, the energy, the exhilaration of once again being on the cusp of a brighter day. The chance to vanquish the demons of fear, division, and hate that have consumed us and continue pursuing the unfinished promise of this great nation, the dream that our parents and grandparents fought and died and sacrificed for. America, hope is making a comeback. But to be honest, I am realizing that until recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future. And for me, that mourning has also been mixed with my own personal grief. The last time I was here in my hometown was to memorialize my mother, the woman who showed me the meaning of hard work and humility and decency, the woman who set my moral compass high and showed me the power of my own voice. Folks, I still feel her loss so profoundly. I wasn't even sure if I'd be steady enough to stand before you tonight, but my heart compelled me to be here because of the sense of duty that I feel to honor her memory and to remind us all not to squander the sacrifices our elders made to give us a better future. You see, my mom, in her steady, quiet way, lived out that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So my mother volunteered at the local school. She always looked out for the other kids on the block. She was glad to do the thankless, unglamorous work that for generations has strengthened the fabric of this nation. The belief that if you do unto others, if you love thy neighbor, if you work and scrape and sacrifice, it will pay off. If not for you, then maybe for your children or your grandchildren. You see, those values have been passed on through family farms and factory towns, through tree-lined streets and crowded tenements, through prayer groups and National Guard units and social studies classrooms. Those were the values my mother poured into me until her very last breath. Kamala Harris and I built our lives on those same foundational values. Even though our mothers grew up an ocean apart, they shared the same belief in the promise of this country. That's why her mother moved here from India at 19. It's why she taught Kamala about justice, about the obligation to lift others up, about our responsibility to give more than we take. She'd often tell her daughter, "Don't sit around and complain about things, do something." So, with that voice in her head, Kamala went out and she worked hard in school, graduating from an HBCU, earning her law degree at a state school. And then she went on to work for the people, fighting to hold lawbreakers accountable, strengthening the rule of law, fighting to get folks better wages, cheaper prescription drugs, a good education, decent health care, child care, elder care. From a middle-class household, Kamala worked her way up to become Vice President of the United States of America. My girl, Kamala Harris, is more than ready for this moment. She is one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of the presidency. And she is one of the most dignified. A tribute to her mother, to my mother, and to your mother too. The embodiment of the stories we tell ourselves about this country. Her story is your story. It's my story. It's the story of the vast majority of Americans trying to build a better life. Look, Kamala knows, like we do, that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how you worship, or what's in your bank account, we all deserve the opportunity to build a decent life. All of our contributions deserve to be accepted and valued. Because no one has a monopoly on what it means to be an American. No one. Kamala has shown her allegiance to this nation, not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors of opportunity open to others. She understands that most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth. If we bankrupt a business or choke in a crisis, we don't get a second, third, or fourth chance. If things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No. We don't get to change the rules so we always win. If we see a mountain in front of us, we don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. No. We put our heads down. We get to work. In America, we do something. And throughout her entire life, that's what we've seen from Kamala Harris. The steel of her spine, the steadiness of her upbringing, the honesty of her example, and yes, the joy of her laughter and her light. It couldn't be more obvious. Of the two major candidates in this race, only Kamala Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort her truth. My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hardworking, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. Wait. I want to know. Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs? Look, it's his same old con. His same old con. Doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better. Look, because cutting our health care, taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters. Shutting down the Department of Education, banning our books, none of that will prepare our kids for the future. Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love, look, that doesn't make anybody's life better. Instead, it only makes us small. And let me tell you this, going small is never the answer. Going small is the opposite of what we teach our kids. Going small is petty, it's unhealthy, and quite frankly, it's unpresidential. So, why would any of us accept this from anyone seeking our highest office? Why would we normalize that type of backward leadership? Doing so only demeans and cheapens our politics. It only serves to further discourage good, big-hearted people from wanting to get involved at all. America, our parents taught us better than that, and we deserve so much better than that. That's why we must do everything in our power to elect 2 of those good, big-hearted people. There is no other choice than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. No other choice. But as we embrace this renewed sense of hope, let us not forget the despair we have felt. Let us not forget what we are up against. Yes, Kamala and Tim are doing great now. We're loving it. They're packing arenas across the country. Folks are energized. We are feeling good. But remember, there are still so many people who are desperate for a different outcome, who are ready to question and criticize every move Kamala makes, who are eager to spread those lies, who don't want to vote for a woman, who will continue to prioritize building their wealth over ensuring that everyone has enough. So no matter how good we feel tonight or tomorrow or the next day, this is going to be an uphill battle. So folks, we cannot be our own worst enemies. No. See, because the minute something goes wrong, the minute a lie takes hold, folks, we cannot start wringing our hands. We cannot get a Goldilocks complex about whether everything is just right. And we cannot indulge our anxieties about whether this country will elect someone like Kamala instead of doing everything we can to get someone like Kamala elected. Kamala and Tim, they have lived amazing lives. And I am confident that they will lead with compassion, inclusion, and grace. But they are still only human. They are not perfect. And like all of us, they will make mistakes. But luckily, y'all, this is not just on them. No, this is up to us, all of us, to be the solution that we seek. It's up to all of us to be the antidote to the darkness and division. Look, I don't care how you identify politically, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or none of the above. This is our time to stand up for what we know in our hearts is right. To stand up, not just for our basic freedoms, but for decency and humanity, for basic respect, dignity, and empathy, for the values at the very foundation of this democracy. It's up to us to remember what Kamala's mother told her. Don't just sit around and complain, do something. So, if they lie about her, and they will, we've got to do something. If we see a bad poll, and we will, we got to put down that phone and do something. If we start feeling tired, if we start feeling that dread creeping back in, we got to pick ourselves up, throw water on our face, and what? Do something. We only have 2.5 months, y'all. to get this done. Only 11 weeks to make sure every single person we know is registered and has a voting plan. So, we cannot afford for anyone America to sit on their hands and wait to be called. Don't complain if no one from the campaign has specifically reached out to you to ask you for your support. There is simply no time for that kind of foolishness. You know what you need to do. So, consider this to be your official ask. Michelle Obama is asking you, no, I'm telling y'all to do something. Because you all, this election is going to be close. In some states, just a handful, listen to me, a handful of votes in every precinct could decide the winner. So we need to vote in numbers that erase any doubt. We need to overwhelm any effort to suppress us. Our fate is in our hands. In 77 days, we have the power to turn our country away from the fear, division, and smallness of the past. We have the power to marry our hope with our action. We have the power to pay forward the love, sweat, and sacrifice of our mothers and fathers and all those who came before us. We did it before, y'all, and we sure can do it again. Let us work like our lives depend on it. And let us keep moving our country forward and go higher, yes, always higher than we've ever gone before as we elect the next president and vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Thank you all. God bless. Now, before I go, I have one more job tonight. Yeah, one more job. You all, thank you for all the love, but it is now my honor to introduce somebody who knows a whole lot about hope. Someone who has spent his life strengthening our democracy, and let me tell you, as someone who lives with him, he wakes up every day, and thinks about what's best for this country. Please welcome America's 44th president and the love of my life, Barack Obama.
Hello, Chicago! Oh. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Chicago. It's good to be home. It is good to be home, and I don't know about you, but I'm feeling fired up. I am feeling ready to go. Even if I am the only person stupid enough to speak after Michelle Obama. I am feeling hopeful because this convention has always been pretty good to kids with funny names who believe in a country where anything is possible. Because we have a chance to elect someone who has spent her entire life trying to give people the same chances America gave her. Someone who sees you and hears you and will get up every single day and fight for you. The next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. It's been 16 years since I had the honor of accepting this party's nomination for president. And I know that's hard to believe because I have not aged a bit. But it's true. And looking back, I can say without question that my first big decision as your nominee turned out to be one of my best. And that was asking Joe Biden to serve by my side as vice president. Other than some common Irish blood, Joe and I come from different backgrounds, but we became brothers. And as we worked together for 8, sometimes pretty tough years, what I came to admire most about Joe wasn't just his smarts, his experience, it was his empathy and his decency and his hard-earned resilience, his unshakable belief that everyone in this country deserves a fair shot. And over the last 4 years, those are the values America has needed most. At a time when millions of our fellow citizens were sick and dying, we needed a leader with the character to put politics aside and do what was right. At a time when our economy was reeling, we needed a leader with the determination to drive what would become the world's strongest recovery. 15 million jobs, higher wages, lower health care costs. At a time when the other party had turned into a cult of personality, we needed a leader who was steady and brought people together and was selfless enough to do the rarest thing there is in politics, putting his own ambition aside for the sake of the country. History will remember Joe Biden as an outstanding president who defended democracy at a moment of great danger. And I am proud to call him my president, but I am even prouder to call him my friend. Now, the torch has been passed. Now it is up to all of us to fight for the America we believe in. And make no mistake, it will be a fight. For all the incredible energy we've been able to generate over the last few weeks, for all the rallies and the memes, this will still be a tight race in a closely divided country. A country where too many Americans are still struggling, where a lot of Americans don't believe government can help. And as we gather here tonight, the people who will decide this election are asking a very simple question. Who will fight for me? Who's thinking about my future, about my children's future, about our future together? One thing is for certain, Donald Trump is not losing sleep over that question. Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances that's actually been getting worse now that he's afraid of losing to Kamala. There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. It just goes on and on and on. The other day I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. Now, from a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous. The truth is, Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than it means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut that would mostly help him and his rich friends. He killed a bipartisan immigration deal written in part by one of the most conservative Republicans in Congress that would have helped secure our southern border because he thought trying to actually solve the problem would hurt his campaign. He doesn't. Do not boo. Vote. He doesn't seem to care if more women lose their reproductive freedom since it won't affect his life. And most of all, Donald Trump wants us to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, between the real Americans, who of course support him, and the outsiders who don't. And he wants you to think that you'll be richer and safer if you will just give him the power to put those other people back in their place. It is one of the oldest tricks in politics from a guy whose act has, let's face it, gotten pretty stale. We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse. America's ready for a new chapter. America's ready for a better story. We are ready for a President Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is ready for the job. This is a person who has spent her life fighting on behalf of people who need a voice and a champion. As you heard from Michelle, Kamala was not born into privilege. She had to work for what she's got. And she actually cares about what other people are going through. She's not the neighbor running the leaf blower. She's the neighbor rushing over to help when you need a hand. As a prosecutor, Kamala stood up for children who had been victims of sexual abuse. As an attorney general of the most populous state in the country, she fought big banks and for-profit colleges, securing billions of dollars for the people they had scammed. After the home mortgage crisis, she pushed me and my administration hard to make sure homeowners got a fair settlement. Didn't matter that I was a Democrat. Didn't matter that she had knocked on doors for my campaign in Iowa. She was going to fight to get as much relief as possible for the families who deserved it. As vice president, she helped take on the drug companies to cap the cost of insulin, lower the cost of health care, give families with kids a tax cut. And she is running for president with real plans to lower costs even more and protect Medicare and Medicaid and sign a law to guarantee every woman's right to make her own health care decisions. In other words, Kamala Harris won't be focused on her problems. She'll be focused on yours. As president, she won't just cater to her own supporters and punish those who refuse to kiss the ring or bend the knee. She'll work on behalf of every American. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I love this guy. Tim is the kind of person who should be in politics. Born in a small town, served his country, taught kids, coached football, took care of his neighbors. He knows who he is, and he knows what's important. You can tell those flannel shirts he wears don't come from some political consultant. They come from his closet, and they have been through some stuff. They have been through some stuff. That's right. Together, Kamala and Tim have kept faith with America's central story. A story that says we are all created equal. All of us endowed with certain inalienable rights, that everyone deserves a chance, that even when we don't agree with each other, we can find a way to live with each other. That's Kamala's vision. That's Tim's vision. That's the Democratic Party's vision. And our job over the next 11 weeks is to convince as many people as possible to vote for that vision. Now, it won't be easy. The other side knows it's easier to play on people's fears and cynicism, always has been. They will tell you that government is inherently corrupt, that sacrifice and generosity are for suckers. And since the game is rigged, it's okay to take what you want and just look after your own. That's the easy path. We have a different task. Our job is to convince people that democracy can actually deliver. And in doing that, we can't just point to what we've already accomplished. We can't just rely on the ideas of the past. We need to chart a new way forward to meet the challenges of today. And Kamala understands this. She knows, for example, that if we want to make it easier for more young people to buy a home, we need to build more units and clear away some of the outdated laws and regulations that made it harder to build homes for working people in this country. That is a priority, and she's put out a bold new plan to do just that. On health care, we should all be proud of the enormous progress that we've made through the Affordable Care Act, providing millions of people access to affordable coverage, protecting millions more from unscrupulous insurance practices. I noticed, by the way, that since it's become popular, they don't call it Obamacare no more. But Kamala knows we can't stop there, which is why she'll keep working to limit out-of-pocket costs. Kamala knows that if we want to help people get ahead, we need to put a college degree within reach of more Americans. But she also knows college shouldn't be the only ticket to the middle class. We need to follow the lead of governors like Tim Walz, who said, if you've got the skills and the drive, you shouldn't need a degree to work for state government. And in this new economy, we need a president who actually cares about the millions of people all across this country who wake up every single day to do the essential, often thankless work, to care for our sick, to clean our streets, to deliver our packages. We need a president who will stand up for their right to bargain for better wages and working conditions. And Kamala will be that president. Yes, she can. Yes, she can. A Harris-Walz administration can help us move past some of the tired old debates that keep stifling progress. Because at their core, Kamala and Tim understand that when everybody gets a fair shot, we are all better off. They understand that when every child gets a good education, the whole economy gets stronger. When women are paid the same as men for doing the same job, all families benefit. They understand that we can secure our borders without tearing kids away from their parents, just like we can keep our streets safe while also building trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve and eliminating bias. That will make it better for everybody. Donald Trump and his well-heeled donors, they don't see the world that way. For them, one group's gains is necessarily another group's loss. For them, freedom means that the powerful can do pretty much what they please, whether it's fire workers trying to organize a union, or put poison in our rivers, or avoid paying taxes like everybody else has to do. Well, we have a broader idea of freedom. We believe in the freedom to provide for your family if you're willing to work hard. The freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water and send your kids to school without worrying if they'll come home. We believe that true freedom gives each of us the right to make decisions about our own life, how we worship, what our family looks like, how many kids we have, who we marry. And we believe that freedom requires us to recognize that other people have the freedom to make choices that are different than ours. That's okay. That's the America Kamala Harris and Tim Walz believe in. An America where we, the people, includes everyone. Because that's the only way this American experiment works. And despite what our politics might suggest, I think most Americans understand that. Democracy isn't just a bunch of abstract principles and dusty laws in some book somewhere. It's the values we live by. It's the way we treat each other, including those who don't look like us, or pray like us, or see the world exactly like we do. That sense of mutual respect has to be part of our message. Our politics have become so polarized these days that all of us across the political spectrum seem so quick to assume the worst in others, unless they agree with us on every single issue. We start thinking that the only way to win is to scold and shame and out-yell the other side. And after a while, regular folks just tune out, or they don't bother to vote. Now, that approach may work for the politicians who just want attention and thrive on division, but it won't work for us. To make progress on the things we care about, the things that really affect people's lives, we need to remember that we've all got our blind spots and contradictions and prejudices, and that if we want to win over those who aren't yet ready to support our candidates, we need to listen to their concerns and maybe learn something in the process. After all, if a parent or grandparent occasionally says something that makes us cringe, we don't automatically assume they're bad people. We recognize that the world is moving fast, that they need time and maybe a little encouragement to catch up. Our fellow citizens deserve the same grace we hope they'll extend to us. That's how we can build a true Democratic majority, one that can get things done. And by the way, that does not just matter to the people in this country. The rest of the world is watching to see if we can actually pull this off. No nation, no society has ever tried to build a democracy as big and as diverse as ours before. One that includes people that over decades have come from every corner of the globe. One where our allegiances and our community are defined not by race or blood, but by a common creed. And that's why when we uphold our values, the world's a little brighter. When we don't, the world's a little dimmer, and dictators and autocrats feel emboldened. And over time, we become less safe. We shouldn't be the world's policemen, and we can't eradicate every cruelty and injustice in the world. But America can be and must be a force for good, discouraging conflict, fighting disease, promoting human rights, protecting the planet from climate change, defending freedom, brokering peace. That's what Kamala Harris believes, and so do most Americans. I know these ideas can feel pretty naive right now. We live in a time of such confusion and rancor, with a culture that puts a premium on things that don't last. Money, fame, status, likes. We chase the approval of strangers on our phones. We build all manner of walls and fences around ourselves, and then we wonder why we feel so alone. We don't trust each other as much because we don't take the time to know each other. And in that space between us, politicians and algorithms teach us to caricature each other and troll each other and fear each other. But here's the good news, Chicago. All across America, in big cities and small towns, away from all the noise, the ties that bind us together are still there. We still coach Little League and look out for our elderly neighbors. We still feed the hungry in churches and mosques and synagogues and temples. We share the same pride when our Olympic athletes compete for the gold. Because the vast majority of us do not want to live in a country that's bitter and divided. We want something better. We want to be better. And the joy and the excitement that we're seeing around this campaign tells us we're not alone. You know, I've spent a lot of time thinking about these past few months because, as Michelle mentioned, this summer we lost her mom, Ms. Marion Robinson. And I don't know that anybody has ever loved their mother-in-law any more than I love mine. Mostly it's because she was funny and wise and the least pretentious person I knew. That, and she always defended me with Michelle when I messed up. I'd hide behind her. But I also think one of the reasons Mary and I became so close was she reminded me of my grandmother, the woman who helped raise me as a child. And on the surface, the two of them did not have a lot in common. One was a black woman from right here, south side of Chicago, right down the way. Went to Englewood High School. The other was a little old white lady born in a tiny town called Peru, Kansas. Now, I know there aren't that many people from Peru. And yet they shared a basic outlook on life. They were strong, smart, resourceful women, full of common sense, who, regardless of the barriers they encountered, and women growing up in the 40s and 50s and 60s, they encountered barriers. They still went about their business without fuss or complaint and provided an unshakable foundation of love for their children and their grandchildren. In that sense, they both represented an entire generation of working people who, through war and depression, discrimination and limited opportunity, helped build this country. A lot of them toiled every day at jobs that were often too small for them and didn't pay a lot. They willingly went without just to keep a roof over their families' heads, just to give their children something better. But they knew what was true. They knew what mattered. Things like honesty and integrity, kindness and hard work. They weren't impressed with braggarts or bullies. They didn't think putting other people down lifted you up or made you strong. They didn't spend a lot of time obsessing about what they didn't have. Instead, they appreciated what they did. They found pleasure in simple things. A card game with friends, a good meal, and laughter around the kitchen table. Helping others. And most of all, seeing their children do things and go places that they would have never imagined for themselves. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican or somewhere in between, we have all had people like that in our lives. People like Kamala's parents, who crossed oceans because they believed in the promise of America. People like Tim's parents, who taught him about the importance of service. Good, hard-working people who weren't famous or powerful, but who managed in countless ways to leave this country just a little bit better than they found it. As much as any policy or program, I believe that's what we yearn for. A return to an America where we work together and look out for each other. A restoration of what Lincoln called, on the eve of civil war, our bonds of affection. An America that taps what he called the better angels of our nature. That is what this election is about. And I believe that's why if we each do our part over the next 77 days, if we knock on doors, if we make phone calls, if we talk to our friends, if we listen to our neighbors, if we work like we've never worked before, if we hold firm to our convictions, we will elect Kamala Harris as the next President of the United States, and Tim Walz as the next Vice President of the United States. We will elect leaders up and down the ballot who will fight for the hopeful, forward-looking America we all believe in, and together we too will build a country that is more secure and more just, more equal, and more free. So let's get to work. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America.
Please stand if you are able for this evening's benediction, offered by Bishop Samuel L. Green Sr. and His Eminence Archbishop Alpidophoros of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of America.
God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far along the way. You are the one who broods over the days of our lives, and without you, we would be nothing. So we lift our hopes and hearts to thee, and we pause tonight to say thank you. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for giving this nation the benefits of your mercy, because all of us can feel that something enthusiastic is rising in the soul of America. And all of us can tell that the tyranny of resentment has finally met its match. The candidacy of Kamala Harris has ignited an era of joy across America. Tonight, we thank you that even in the darkest of our pessimistic nights, love has not failed us, and hope has stood its ground. We who gather do so with audacity to believe that there will be compassion in America. So God, deliver us from racism. Deliver us from sexism. Deliver us from evil, and keep us forever in the path we pray. Amen.
It is now time to pray to the Lord. Let us pray to the Lord. Eternal and ever-living God, source of goodness and grace, we come before you, seeking your heavenly benediction upon this democratic national convention. Grant unto the nominee for President of these United States, Vice President Kamala Harris, and her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, to pursue the highest offices in the land with love, with hope, and with faith in our nation. Grant unto the delegates to engage with their fellow citizens in a spirit of joy and duty, always seeking the best for our country. We also ask special blessings upon President Joseph Biden, First Lady Jill Biden, and their family, for he has given a lifetime of service and of sacrifice to the American people, and has stood with nobility and integrity upon the international stage to lead in the best traditions of the United States. Finally, we ask that you protect and defend the armed forces who protect and defend us, so that in peace and security we may offer to you, the one true God, the praise that is in your due. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our coverage at the DNC for tonight. But what we're going to do is we're going to just say goodbye. And we have one of our publishers here, one of our great NNPA publishers here, Dr. Chavis.
Yes. Well, look, before we close out, we always want to celebrate our publishers. We have one of our most distinguished publishers here, Jamie Kane Cashmere. She's the distinguished publisher of the Times Weekly, covering the greater Chicago area. Yes. Well, let everybody know who you are and what you do.
weekly publication, but also we're a digital first newsroom now. So we're doing a lot of digital things, and just launched our new website, and we have a lot of things going on. Staying up with where news is going.
Tell everybody the website so they can know where to go and.
Okay, it's the timesweekly.com.
Timesweekly.com.
The Times-
You enjoying the convention?
I am. This is the first time I've spent as much time. Usually I come and, I think I missed 96. I think I missed that.
That one was here.
It was here in Chicago.
How you missed something in your own city?
I know.
What were you doing?
Working, building a business.
Look, Jamie's modest. She and her husband are also experts on wine.
Yeah,
they know more about wine than anybody I know.
We don't drink a lot of wine, though. We just know about it.
You just know about it. You just get that wine expertise.
Well, yes. That's some of it.
Well, thank you for having us in your city.
Well, we would love to have you. How do you like our city?
I love it. I always love Chicago.
Chicago is
got it going on.
Yeah.
As always.
And don't believe the crime stories. It's not as bad as they.
Okay. I believe it.
We've had a good time. I mean, the city's been very hospitable.
Food is good.
Food is good. The hotel staff, well trained. It's just been a great experience. We're here in the United Center for the DNC Convention Center. It's been very orderly. Thousands of people, but come in and out, very orderly thing.
Yeah, they were very good about how they organized it. The team, the media team, it just seems like it just kind of ran kind of smooth. I mean, there were a few glitches here and there, but they really got on it and worked it out.
Jamie, good to see you.
You too.
Dr. Chambers, good to work with you as always, folks. We will be back tomorrow live. Tomorrow, Tim Walz accepts the nomination. And then the next night, Kamala Harris accepts the nomination. We'll continue with our live coverage. Make it plain, let it be known. The NNPA, thank you to our entire team for being here. Bobby Henry,
the chair.
Bobby Henry, sir. We're about to get on out of here. Y'all have a good night.
Phenomenal Grill.
Greer's here. We're going to go hang out in the streets all night long. And then we'll be what?
Mark's going to be doing that by himself.
We're not,
No, sir, we're going to get some sleep.
I thought we were going to hang out all night long. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Love everybody.